Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. The end of the world. Mythical recovers, and the start is fierce and strange. Chapter 1. In Tianquan City, an old rental house. The rustling sound of the shower came. Wow! A splash of cold water fell. The biting cold feeling made Chen Mo slowly open his eyes. He had just celebrated his 20th birthday, but there was a depth in his eyes that did not belong to his age. Ha! Chen Mo's eyes flickered and he breathed a long sigh of relief. The chaotic memories in my mind are so real and clear. It seems like it happened yesterday. After turning off the water valve, Chen Mo wiped his body, put on plain clothes and lay on the bed. The somewhat blurry old-fashioned TV set next to me sounded the sound of news broadcasts. Today's news reports that the extinct creature bear lion was found in the forest valley of Nanyuan City. The zoologists have gone too. Mysterious purple mist has appeared in Kunwu Mountain in recent days. Experts point out that this may be some kind of weather that has never been seen before. Breathing for longer periods of time may extend your life. There are a large number of stray cats and dogs attacking people in Tianquan City. They are feared to carry infectious diseases and are being hunted and processed. The Animal Protection Association has lodged a strong protest. Suru County is experiencing flash floods and is requesting assistance and support from all parties in the industry. On November 23 this year, the last grand daytime meteor shower of the year will appear at noon. Everyone may wish to gather with relatives, friends and lovers to welcome the coming auspicious year. Chen Mo was lying on the bed, listening to the broadcasts coming from his ears. Murmured, exactly the same. Exactly. The same. Shua. Chen Mo immediately sat up and picked up the mobile phone beside him. November 20, 2049, 12 hours 8 minutes and 56 seconds. Look at the time on this. Ha. Chen Mo lowered his head, trembling all over, and suddenly laughed to himself. At the end, he burst out laughing, his pretty face and eyes full of madness. Shocking evil aura and murderous intent filled the air. At this moment, Chen Mo was like a ghost walking out of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Unexpectedly, Chen Mo, was actually reborn. He lived in the last days for 15 years. In the end, he was persecuted by Lin Shu, the heir to the top of the war zone, and was forcibly sent to conquer the SSS Level mission. Facing that terrifying and despairing deformed god, he saw Yuer dying tragically in front of him. In that battle, hundreds of thousands of people died in the 6th war zone. But because of his extraordinary background, the other party was released after only being detained for 1 month. He hates that deformed god. I hate Lin Shu, the culprit who caused all this. Lin Shu, you killed Yuer, and I, Chen Mo, want to let you taste it. The feeling of having your limbs chewed up bit by the gods, so desperate, and life worse than death. I do not know how long it has been. Chen Mo's crazy expression gradually calmed down, and his eyes kept flickering. 3 days. I still have 3 days left. Because the world will be at 12 o'clock on November 23, 2049. Earth-shaking changes have occurred. At this time, the sky will be torn apart by red meteorites, and the entire world will become a wasteland. The Yellow River and the Yangtze River will turn into a huge dragon that can swallow the sky. The gods that people have believed in for a long time will also appear from the soil 10,000 meters below or from countless sacred lands. And this is not the most terrifying thing. When the end of the world comes, all species, including humans, will undergo a great change. The population will be reduced by 90% and become alien species. Among the remaining people, there will be those with godlike abilities. This time, I want to overturn everything I have ever had. Take control. Chen Mo raised his right hand and saw a faint black mark on the back of his hand, like a birthmark. This is the dark pattern of awakening. Before rebirth, he was a rank 6 psychic. In the first 3 years, he remained an ordinary person. It wasn't until he met Yuer that he started to awaken with the crystal marrow fluid she gave him. Just a Class B mental disturbance. The earlier the awakening dark pattern appears, the more powerful the ability is. But in this life, the mark of awakening actually appeared before the end of the world. There were even dark lines on his left hand that showed the ability to awaken. Not just reborn, even the superpowers have changed. Chen Mo murmured. He didn't say much. Instead, he stood up and put on the worn coat on the stool. silently walked out of the door. Chen Mo didn't plan to build any shelter. Because in the middle of the apocalypse, the ancient gods resurrected, and countless terrifying mythical behemoths and mutant species were rampant. Even if it is organized by the leader, the refuge zone relies on the copper and iron walls piled up by countless manpower and material resources. It's not an absolutely safe place. What's more, from the moment the end comes, Tianquan City will become the hardest hit area. Because this is the place where gods sleep. Deep underground in Tianquan City, a huge thing sleeps. Codename 18, Qiongqi God. Chen Mo came to Tianquan City Center. Here, there is a huge crowd, and there is an endless stream of people passing by. Office workers, students, lovers, exceptionally beautiful and comfortable. Looking at this familiar yet unfamiliar scene, Chen Mo sighed. 15 years. It's really nostalgic. Peace. But he knew that all of this would happen in 3 days. Fragmented. When you set foot here, Chen Mo's ears suddenly heard a steady dull sound of plop and plop. It's like the heart is beating, making people feel restless. The passers-by around him were still talking and laughing, unaware. It seemed as if the sound could not be heard at all. Chen Mo glanced at the ground beneath his feet with disgust. The terrifying behemoth in Tianquan City at the end of the world came to mind, a mountain of meat 20 or 30 meters high. Is this where the god of Qiongqi is? God. Chen Mo had strong hatred in his eyes. In the early days of the end of the world, such resurrected gods are almost impossible for humans to contend with. Even a low-ranking god like Qiongqi God. Nor can weapons and artillery fire kill them. Chen Mo came to a large supermarket. As the Chinese New Year approaches, the flow of people in supermarkets becomes even greater. However, the people shopping here all wore masks, and some had bloodshot eyes. He looked haggard and coughed constantly. Ahem. Chen Mo ignored these crowds. Those who show early symptoms will become extremely powerful mutant zombies in the apocalypse. It's contagious. Although he has the mark of awakening, he has the most basic immunity. But avoid contact if you can. He purchased some compressed food that was easy to carry. Compressed biscuits, cans, bread. And most importantly, water. These things will become the most precious things for everyone. In the early stage, it was equivalent to money. The value of a piece of bread is much more precious than a human life. You know, in the last days, the food rations that most people can get. It's the people around you. Chen Mo bought a huge backpack and put these things into the cart to check out. When I saw dozens of loaded carts and large buckets of water on the side, the passers-by around him, including the cashier, were stunned, with surprise on their faces. This guy, isn't he here to escape? Someone said in shock. Oh my God, there are so many things, young man, can you finish them? Even the cashier was a little hard to understand, so he opened his mouth and confirmed again and again. Sir, are you sure you want to buy so many things? Chen Mo nodded, not caring about the eyes of the people around him. He said calmly, check out, can you deliver goods directly to your door? The cashier was stunned for a moment, then said with a smile. Of course sir, just leave your address here and we will send someone there shortly. We will charge you a total of 23,433 yuan and 50 fen. Chen Mo directly scanned the QR code to pay. Ding. Closing square bracket. The account with tail number 324 asterisk completed the transaction 23,433.5, and the balance was 13,510.5. Closing square bracket. As you can see, Chen Mo is a poor guy. The very poor kind. Chen Mo looked at the supplies behind him. Thought secretly. These things should be enough for a short time. In the early days of the apocalypse, it is the best time to hunt amethysts to improve your abilities. He plans to develop in Tianquan City for a while before heading to Hubei City. Of course, before that, there are 2 things to deal with. The sovereign in Tianquan City even swallowed the alien species of Qiongqi God in the end. Codename 46, Qiongqi. In Mythical, Qiongqi looks like a tiger, is as big as an ox, has 2 wings and 2 horns, and is extremely ferocious. In Chen Mo's memory, when the early Qiongqi was discovered, just a rather special and very fierce big orange cat. And when this orange cat appeared in people's sight again, the transformation turned into a terrifying beast, with a body that was tens of meters long. He even tore apart the god of Tianquan city, Qiongqi god, and replaced him alive. Become the new overlord of Tianquan. Because the shape is very similar to Qiongqi in Mythical. Was given the codename Qiongqi. Chen Mo kept recalling information about Qiongqi. Fortunately, before his rebirth, he was once a high-status superpower in the 6th war zone. In addition, he is a person with spiritual powers. So I remember these records very clearly. Chen Mo walked out of the supermarket. He called up the map on his phone and muttered, "If I am not mistaken, the first time Qiongqi appeared was in Tianquan community. Vicious and aggressive, one right eye is blind. This is the entire record of Qiongqi." Chen Mo searched for the address of Tianquan community. "I stopped a taxi and came here. In Tianquan community. A group of volunteers from the Animal Protection Society are surrounding a group of security guards. The two parties were extremely noisy and could not talk to each other. Kittens are alive too. By doing this, you are killing a living life. Don't your consciences hurt?" The speaker was a young, beautiful, and tall woman. She was wearing a red volunteer uniform, her face was angry, and she was questioning the security guards in front of her very forcefully. Meow meow, meow, volunteers from the surrounding SPCA. He was guarding a large iron cage on the trunk of the van. It contained dozens of wild cats, both large and small. They were all covered in hair and grinning. "You dare to touch us and try it. I'm going to call the police," someone among the volunteers shouted. One of the older security guards glanced at the menacing woman in front of him. He said with a somewhat embarrassed expression, "But girl, these cats have been involved in several incidents of hurting people. Look at my hands." As he said that, the security guard rolled up his sleeves, which were covered with deep claw marks. The security guard smiled bitterly. "The owners of the community have unanimously agreed to euthanize these cats. Why are you bothering?" Wang Luyao said loudly. "The cats are just stressed out. It just hurts your hand. And you want their lives. Can this be the same?" At this time, a handsome young man in a suit beside Wang Luyao spoke. "All right, Yao Yao, don't be too angry. These people don't understand the value of life." Li Yuan adjusted his collar. Looking at the security guards opposite, a trace of disdain flashed deep in his eyes. He spoke, "Isn't your purpose just to get rid of these cats? In this case, I will pay 50,000 yuan, and you will give me these cats. I promise that these wild cats will not appear again in Tianquan community from now on. How about that?" His family is wealthy, and his father is a well-known local entrepreneur with tens of millions of assets. As soon as this statement came out, the volunteers around said with envy, "Master Li is not only rich, but he also has such a kind heart. A group of wild cats are actually willing to spend so much money to buy them. Yao Yao is so lucky to have such a good man willing to accompany you." Wang Luyao also looked at Li Yuan with some emotion. Li Yuan, she knew that Li Yuan did this all because of herself. The security guards hesitated for a moment. And just then, an indifferent voice sounded, "Please give way." This sudden sound made everyone look over. When she saw the person coming, Wang Luyao's beautiful eyes were startled, full of surprise and astonishment. Lost his voice. "Chen Mo, how did you come?" Chen Mo ignored her. In fact, he noticed Wang Luyao from a distance. She is his ex-girlfriend. Because his parents died when he was very young. Chen Mo's conditions have never been rich, so he came out to work early. Wang Luyao is a work-study girl that she met while working. The two were in similar situations, and over time they became ambiguous with each other and became lovers. In order for Wang Luyao to study better, he used his meager savings to support her until she graduated from college. But what Chen Mo didn't expect was, Wang Luyao broke up with her at the speed of light as soon as she graduated. Turn around and be with Li Yuan, a senior at the same school. This made me fall for a long time. But after experiencing the apocalypse of 15 people eating others and stabbing each other in the back, they were extremely desperate. Today, Chen Mo only feels that his past depravity is ridiculous. When I saw Wang Luyao again, there was no wave in my heart. It was like facing a strange passerby. Chen Mo's eyes stayed on the iron cage. Meow meow. In the iron cage, there was only one orange cat with fried fur that meowed the most harshly. The orange cat had a fierce expression, its vertical pupils were constricted, and there was a ferocious scar on its right eye. The angry and manic eyes didn't look like a cat at all. Instead, it looks like a ferocious tiger. In the center of the orange cat's forehead, there is a dark line emerging. This is it. Chen Mo felt happy and stared at the orange cat closely. And now on the other side. After seeing Chen Mo, Li Yuan frowned visibly. Somewhat unpleasant. He remembered Chen Mo. Just a poor boy. Wang Luyao looked at Chen Mo with a complicated expression and said, Chen Mo, we've broken up. I want this orange cat. Before she could finish her words, Chen Mo then opened his mouth and said. He didn't even look at Wang Luyao. He opened the top of the iron cage directly. He reached out and grabbed the orange cat by the back of his neck. Lift it up. Ordinary cats will freeze when the back of their neck is raised. But this orange cat is extremely special. It keeps neighing and waving its 4 claws. That extremely fierce look seemed to want to tear Chen Mo into pieces. Chen Mo grinned, his eyes gleaming with excitement. Finally found it. Sovereign in Tianquan City in the future. Alien species, Qiongqi. Chen Mo grabbed the struggling orange cat and turned around without looking back. From beginning to end, he didn't even say hello. Wang Luyao was shocked when she saw this scene. He froze in place. It never occurred to her. Chen Mo appeared here and didn't say a word after seeing him. Not because of yourself, but for a cat. Wang Luyao couldn't believe it. Her face was very ugly, and she felt like she was the one who couldn't leave, like a clown. Looking at Chen Mo's retreating figure, Wang Luyao shouted unwillingly. Chen Mo, we are impossible. She tried to get Chen Mo's attention. But Chen Mo didn't seem to hear it and was indifferent. It didn't stop him. Wang Luyao next to Li Yuanyuan is obviously his own. She actually thinks about this poor loser all day long. He shouted rather unhappily. Chen Mo, stop. These wild cats were all bought by me. If you dare to touch my things today, I will prevent you from seeing the sun in Tianquan City tomorrow. There was something in Li Yuan's words, and he threatened fiercely. Chen Mo stopped. He turned around and walked slowly towards Li Yuan. Li Yuan looked at Chen Mo's shabby outfit. He smiled even more proudly. You know you're scared, right? Assuming that you know the truth, let me tell you that Wang Luyao is engaged to me and is my wife. I remember you, a poor loser, don't have a job yet, right? That's right. Your parents died young, unlike my father who had some financial resources and connections. For the sake of taking care of Yao Yao in the past, if you kneel down and beg me, maybe I can arrange a decent job for you. How is it? Li Yuan looked at Chen Mo in front of him with disdain. Snort. A poor loser is a poor loser. Why don't you express your gratitude to me? At this moment, a black shadow flashed past. Boom. No one even saw clearly when the move was made. Li Yuan was knocked to the ground heavily by Chen Mo, and even a few of his teeth were broken. Chen Mo sat completely on Li Yuan's body. He was holding the cat in his left hand, and his right hand was squeezing his neck like a pair of pliers. His eyes were fierce, filled with overwhelming evil aura and murderous intent. He whispered in a hoarse voice. You, try saying it again. Li Yuan's face turned red at this moment and he rolled his eyes. Both hands kept grabbing Chen Mo's right hand. His legs kept kicking and struggling. His eyes seemed to pop out. Looking at Chen Mo's eyes filled with murderous intent, great fear and desire to die directly filled his mind. Li Yuan kept making painful sounds of ho and ho, begging for mercy. Spare my life. Chen Mo, are you crazy? Wang Luyao on the side reacted and screamed. She had never seen such a vicious and violent Chen Mo. In her impression, Chen Mo has always looked like an honest person. And now, why is it so strange? Is this really the same person? And the other side, Chen Mo's ferocious move made everyone around him look stupid. The security guards present could not help but feel chills running down their spines after seeing that terrifying look. For the first time in peaceful times, they felt what murderous aura was from a person's eyes. Not even those criminals have this kind of murderous intent. And the old security guard was trembling all over. He had been a soldier when he was young, and this kind of murderous intent had only been seen in the eyes of the old chief. Stop. Seeing that the volunteers around her were indifferent, Wang Luyao was furious. He ran over quickly. She wanted to pull Chen Mo away, but the Chen Mo in front of her was like an iron man, motionless at all. The emergence of the awakening dark pattern has begun to strengthen Chen Mo's physical fitness all the time. Now his physical fitness is no problem even when facing those special forces. The killing intent in Chen Mo's eyes gradually faded. He looked at Li Yuan, who was about to expire, and his face turned blue. Gradually he loosened his hand, staring at him with a charming smile. Bend the ear canal. You should be lucky that it's not the end of the world yet. Otherwise, you are already a dead person. Li Yuan's pupils widened, his eyes full of horror. He shook his head so hard that he fainted from fright. There are still 2 days left. During this period, Chen Mo didn't want to delay his progress because of trivial matters. Chen Mo slowly stood up from the ground. He glanced sideways at Wang Luyao, who was wearing volunteer uniform. His eyes were cold and emotionless. Our Lady, in the last days, will be a drag to everyone. He didn't say much, but was under the shocked eyes of the onlookers. He turned and left without looking back. This look full of murderous intent and strangeness made Wang Luyao's delicate body tremble. She looked at Li Yuan, who was half dead on the ground, foaming at the mouth and constantly twitching. There was an inexplicable feeling of regret in my heart. Why will Chen Mo change so much? Did I hurt him? But soon, Wang Luyao's beautiful eyes became extremely firm. She has endured hardship and knows how difficult it is to live without money. Chen Mo is not his best choice after all. He can't give you what you want. Wang Luyao hurriedly helped Li Yuan up and glared at the people who had remained indifferent. Scolded. What are you doing standing here? Call an ambulance. This incident did not cause the slightest disturbance in Chen Mo's heart. In the coming time, Chen Mo came to a furniture factory and ordered a batch of iron doors and windows. In the early days of the end of the world, the zombies that became alien species were not very powerful. Even a wooden door can withstand it for a while. The iron gate is enough to completely resist its attack. But as time goes by, it gradually evolves. Those powerful alien movements can cause the entire floor to collapse. No matter how well the house is defended, it is useless. Based on my 15 years of experience, even if there is no superpower, ordinary zombies can't hurt themselves. The reason for doing this is to rely on these iron doors and windows to protect the food. Once food has been touched by alien species, it can no longer be eaten. Chen Mo didn't want his house to be stolen when he went out to hunt. Inside the furniture factory, a big man in work clothes with a dark face wiped his sweat and joked with a smile. Young man, you are preparing to build a fortress. Keep your home so tight, Chen Mo said with a smile. There have been a lot of thieves in the community recently, so I can rest assured that we will be stricter. The man nodded and clapped his hands in assurance. Then you have found the right person. Our quality is excellent and the price is cheap. All the famous brands from outside have cooperated with us. Young man, you've come to the right place for wholesale from the original factory, haha. The man said proudly. Chen Mo looked around at the huge factory building where the rumbling sound of processing could be heard. This is indeed a good shelter. Here, as long as you have enough food, you can get through the early stages safely. Chen Mo said, I'm in a hurry here, I need it today. There are no requirements on appearance, as long as the quality is passed. In such a hurry, the man said after thinking for a moment. It's okay, it's just that the shape may not be that precise. Chen Mo, that's enough. How much? The man grinned, honest and honest. 14,970, I'll give you a discount of 13,000, cash on delivery. After all, if we don't have to be so precise, we will save a lot of effort. Meow meow. At this time, the orange cat that Chen Mo had been holding in his hand made a harsh cry again after resting for a while. Chen Mo glanced at it and asked, do you have an iron cage here? Iron cage. The man looked at the cat in Chen Mo's hand with a strange expression. Said, this doesn't seem to be. But there are some scrap iron rods, which can be cut and welded with tools, and an iron cage can be installed. After purchasing these supplies, Chen Mo returned to the rental house carrying an iron cage. The orange cat was restless. Squeak. Opening the door with the key, Chen Mo casually placed the iron cage on the balcony. He looked at the orange cat in the cage, grinning at him. Chen Mo smiled nonchalantly and said, be honest. I also have to store the food delivered in the rental house. The house lives on the 5th floor and is not large, about 60 or 70 square meters. In order to reduce the use of useless space, make the most of it. These supplies were neatly stacked on both sides by Chen Mo. Even so, it still occupies most of the area. Look at the mountains of supplies in front of you. Water, compressed biscuits, bread, frozen food. Enough to last me 4 or 5 months. If you live frugally, it can last longer. Chen Mo, it's almost. Next, we're just waiting for those protective iron doors and windows to be delivered. Chen Mo looked at his hands. The dark lines on it become more and more clearly visible. Are you about to wake up? Chen Mo murmured. Don't wake up on the day of the end of the world. Because when a superpower first awakens his superpower, it is the moment when he is at his weakest. Once I awakened the B-level power, mental interference, and was weak for 3 whole days. The awakening of supernatural powers also varies depending on a person's constitution. Some people get better in a few hours, while others even need several months to adapt. Chen Mo was busy until night, just when I was about to sit down and rest for a while. The mobile phone beside him suddenly vibrated. Buzz buzz buzz. Telephone. Hello, are you Mr. Chen? The furniture you ordered has arrived. Please come down and sign for it. It turned out that the delivery person from the furniture factory had arrived. Downstairs. Ding. Closing square bracket. Tail number 324 asterisk account completed transaction minus 13,000, balance 510.5. Closing square bracket. More than 10,000 went out again. If it had been before, Chen Mo would probably have been in pain for a while. But now I feel nothing. In the last days, the most useless thing is money. No matter how much money you spend, it is not even as useful as a piece of cloth. At least the cloth could stop the bleeding. Mr. Chen, do you need me to help you send it up? There's another person in the car who can help, the delivery person said. No, you leave it here and I can do it myself. Chen Mo said. The delivery person was stunned when he heard this. You know, these things are not light. It's hard enough for both of them to carry it. Is it really okay for this young man to do it alone? Rumble. Just when he was confused, Chen Mo was already walking upstairs holding the iron door with one hand and a piece of iron window with the other. Superman. The delivery person was dumbfounded. He rubbed his eyes in disbelief, wondering if he hadn't woken up yet. But the truth told me that the handsome young man in front of me actually lifted an iron door single-handedly. There is also an iron window. Night, 9 o'clock. In a small hotel a few miles away from home. Next to Chen Mo, there was a large bowl full of leftovers from 7 or 8 servings. Chen Mo took out a tissue and wiped his mouth. He looked at the dumbfounded middle-aged man on the side and said with a smile. Uncle Jiangguo, let's have another duck leg rice. Looking at Chen Mo who was devouring a large bowl of duck leg rice at the speed of light. Everyone in Lu Jiangguo was dumbfounded. Chen Mo smiled and said. Uncle Jiangguo, what are you doing? We're here for business. What's wrong? Are you afraid that I'll eat the king's meal? As the superpowers are about to awaken and their physical fitness increases, the amount of food they need to eat is naturally much larger than that of the average person. Lu Jiangguo took a deep breath and stepped forward to look at him angrily. Do you have enough to eat? He said while clearing the dishes. But Xiao Chen, you little baby, how long have you not eaten? How come you can eat so much today? Chen Mo was silent for a while after hearing this. His eyes were dim and he didn't speak for a long time. Uncle Jiangguo is a good man. I used to work nearby. In order to save money for Wang Luyao to study. 3 meals a day here are the cheapest noodles that cost 5 yuan a bowl. This is almost my second home. It was Uncle Jiangguo who would give himself a bowl of duck leg rice for free every night. Then he chuckled and cursed. You brat, we don't keep these leftovers to sell at night. If you don't want them, you have no choice but to throw them away. But Chen Mo knew that the people who came here to eat were all regular customers. Uncle Jiangguo had been doing business here for so long. Naturally, he knows how many copies he can sell every day. He only knows a little but not a lot, so how can he have more leftovers? Lu Jiangguo, is it that little girl again? I've already told you, that girl is not a good person, but you never notice the look of disgust in her eyes every time she comes here to eat. Chen Mo looked at the middle-aged man with the vicissitudes of life in front of him. He shook his head and said, "Not her, Lu Zhangguo. What happened? Tell me about it, your uncle." Chen Mo, "Nothing. I just miss you a little, Uncle Zhangguo." Hiss. Lu Zhangguo took a breath when he heard this. His expression was as if he had seen a ghost, and he had goosebumps all over his body. He waved his hands and said with a look of disgust, "Get out." It gave me goosebumps all over my body. I said, "Why are you so nervous? You seem like a different person." Chen Mo chuckled, "I'm still the same Chen Mo. It's just, Uncle Zhangguo, if this world is coming to an end. What will you do? Doomsday." Lu Zhangguo stopped his movements. With a strange expression, he stepped forward and touched Chen Mo's forehead. "I don't even have a fever even after thinking about it. Have you watched too many science fiction movies? Come here and do whatever you have to do. Anyway, I and that woman have lived enough after living for so long. If the end of the world really comes, the only thing I'm worried about is my little daughter. As long as she's fine." Speaking of this, Lu Zhangguo's eyes were extremely gentle. "Let me tell you, my little daughter is very smart. Bai is fat, but he always loves to cry. When it comes to his daughter, Lu Zhangguo talks a lot." Chen Mo listened patiently. Although he was reborn, he was not omniscient and omnipotent. After the apocalypse happened, I had no time to think about myself. I didn't know whether Uncle Zhangguo had become a mutant or what happened. As if he felt that he had said too much, Lu Zhangguo waved his hand. "Oh, you're old now, why are you telling me so much? Do you want the duck leg rice?" Chen Mo said with a smile. "Want, pack." He took out his mobile phone and scanned the QR code on the table. 500 was entered. It was also his last 500. Ding. XXX received 500 yuan. Closing square bracket. Lu Zhangguo, who had packed his bags, was stunned when he heard this voice. Said hurriedly, "Xiao Chen, what are you doing?" Chen Mo smiled. "Uncle Zhangguo, did you really think I didn't know before? These are the money for the duck leg rice. Uncle Zhangguo, if you are willing to believe me, you and your family should bring a lot of supplies before the 23rd. Go to Yuanshin Furniture Factory and don't go anywhere. Yuanshin Furniture Factory is where I bought the iron doors and windows this morning. There are few people there and it is relatively remote and closed. There will be a large number of survivors gathering there in the future, making it safer." Regardless of whether Lu Zhangguo heard it or not, Chen Mo looked at him deeply. He said very solemnly, "Uncle Zhangguo, take care of yourself." After saying that, he took the duck leg rice and left. Looking at Chen Mo's retreating figure, Lu Zhangguo's expression was extremely complicated. On this kid Xiao Chen, something seems to be happening. He is very familiar with Chen Mo and doesn't know why. After seeing Chen Mo today, he always felt that he was with Chen Mo. There is a vague feeling of strangeness and loneliness. What exactly was Xiao Chen talking about? The end of the world. Lu Zhangguo walked out, looked at the dark sky, and shook his head. He returned to the store and closed the door. At the last moment, he didn't know what he was thinking. Chen Mo returned home and lay on the bed. "My mind is filled with various fragmented images of the 15 years of the end of the world. I am not saint. As the end of the world approaches, there are still many important things to do. In this life, I vowed to control everything, and there are still many vengeances yet to be avenged. Don't be dragged down by anyone. This is all that I can do for Uncle Zhangguo." Meow. A scream sounded. The orange cat in the iron cage was constantly bumping against the cage, even though its whole body was scarred. Still refused to give up. Chen Mo looked over. I noticed the orange cat's extremely sinister and hateful gaze under the night. "Almost forgot about you, Qiongqi." Chen Mo took out the duck leg rice on the table. The aroma of duck leg rice came, and the orange cat in the cage was stunned, looking straight at the duck leg rice in Chen Mo's hand. Unexpectedly, Qiongqi was once so famous and the overlord of Tianquan city. It turns out to be a big fat cat. Chen Mo put the duck leg rice directly into the cage and said with a smile. The orange cat was curled up in a corner of the cage, still grinning. But when I saw Chen Mo put duck legs into the rice, a strange light flashed through his eyes. He stepped forward and smelled it, then swallowed it in big mouthfuls. Ooh. Chen Mo stood on the small balcony, opened the iron window and looked at the unusually bright moonlight in the sky. A touch of imperceptible anomaly red is covering it with dye. 1.5 days left. So, next, Lin Shu, how do you want to die? Chen Mo looked extremely crazy and said with a sneer. Lin Shu, the son of the mayor, his mother is a business tycoon with countless properties. Grandpa was once a big boss in the military region, with great military exploits, and all the soldiers he led were now high-ranking military officials. In the early days of the end of the world, Lin Shu was immediately taken out of the province by virtue of his family's advantage in possessing huge amounts of material and force. Survived safely under numerous armed forces. Then the Sixth War Zone, known as the City of Peace, was established, resulting in the output of several major scientific and technological resources. They all have an inseparable relationship with the Lin family. This is why, even in the last days, Lin Shu can still live so freely and wildly. But in Chen Mo's eyes, he was soon a dead man. Because of Lin Shu at this time. In Tianquan City, the cold evening breeze blew. Chen Mo felt the chill in his heart, and his eyes were as captivating as a beast in the dark night. Flashing with bloodthirsty and ferocious light. Suddenly, it seemed like something was about to burst out. Chen Mo's heart twitched suddenly and his body shook. Ahem. Severe pain came from the body. The dark pattern of awakening on his right hand actually flashed an anomaly purple light at this moment. This is. Chen Mo's pupils shrank. This extremely familiar feeling. Ability. Wake up. As if thinking of something, Chen Mo hurried back to the house. Lock windows and iron doors securely. At this moment, his eyes were bloodshot, and he was lying on the bed with his head a little dizzy. Sweating all over. I didn't expect that it would be at this time. Chen Mo gasped for air. The dark lines of awakening on the forehead of the orange cat in the iron cage also exude a hint of anomaly. The orange cat stared at Chen Mo on the bed. The expression is very human. Awakening supernatural powers is the time when you are at your weakest. During this period, no interference from anyone is allowed. Otherwise, it is very likely to suffer backlash and become a foreign species. Chen Mo's mind became more and more drowsy, and his vision became blurred. Hope, it won't be long. Finally, Chen Mo slowly closed his eyes. On his body, layers of purple ripples appeared, as if they were constantly washing and washing his body. The surrounding iron doors and windows began to buzz and tremble. The entire old building looked a little shaky. That night, countless residents of the same building woke up from their sleep. This is earthquake. Only the very special orange cat in the iron cage was meowing, meow, in a low voice. Early the next morning. Well, Chen Mo, who was lying on the bed, frowned in pain. He opened his somewhat blurry eyes. At this moment, everything around him became so clear in his field of vision. The dark lines of awakening on his right hand also disappeared. Instead, there is a pattern with anomaly beauty. Chen Mo rubbed his head and slowly got up from the bed. The bedding and sheets were already soaked. First reaction upon waking up. Just hungry. Very hungry. Fortunately, there are mountains of food and supplies in the rental house. Chen Mo picked up a piece of bread and wolfed it down. Gulu gulu. He kept drinking water. After a while, he finally recovered. Looking at the divine pattern on his right hand that belongs only to people with superpowers. Chen Mo's eyes lit up, and the next moment, the divine pattern in his hand shone with light. An ancient voice suddenly sounded. It was like an ancient god whispering in his ear. God, Gold, Lord, Zai. This is the sound that every person with superpowers will hear when they awaken. Chen Mo was shocked when he heard this voice. His face showed a look of ecstasy. This time, what I awakened is not a spiritual power, but the spiritual system. Chen Mo was a little in disbelief. You know, in the end times, people with superpowers are divided into 4 categories. Spiritual system, elemental system, normal system, and the most mysterious and powerful one, comparable to the gods. Spiritual system. Among them, the element system is already extremely extraordinary. And the supernatural powers of the gods are existences that cannot be understood by common sense. In the apocalypse, anyone with spiritual powers will have the lowest rating of S. Without exception, they are all highly regarded in all war zones. And I, in this life, actually awakened the supernatural power of the spiritual system. Spiritual system, dominate. Before rebirth, those who also had this power. Shi Yuan was once a rank 9 psychic in the second war zone. This man is called the King of the Earth, and he once killed 2 gods by himself. Sensation to the world. Chen Mo's whole body trembled with excitement, and his eyes revealed endless fire. The Lord of Gold. He looked at the bars on the side and felt a special feeling coming over him. It's like instinct. Chen Mo slowly raised his hand. The iron windows on the balcony began to twist. In the end, it turned into a pool of molten iron, which was continuously kneaded and reorganized in Chen Mo's hands. Chen Mo's eyes flickered. A drop of liquid condensed from it, and he looked at the iron door on the other side. With a flick of a finger. Boom! The liquid in his hand instantly turned into a more condensed steel ball, which shot deeply into the iron door. Zitsa! The sizzling heat came out. The power of this blow is no less powerful than any bullet. And this is just Chen Mo using a little strength. So strong. Chen Mo's eyes suddenly brightened. Looking at the deeply sunken iron door, Chen Mo thought. In an instant, everything around him recovered again. Is this the power of the gods? Dominate. Chen Mo took a deep breath, picked up his phone and looked at the time. November 22, 2049, 11 hours 29 minutes and 32 seconds. I actually slept for a whole day. Perhaps it was because he had awakened his powers. The weak state caused by awakening the superpower will soon end. Chen Mo murmured. Tomorrow, at 12 o'clock tomorrow, everything in this world will be overturned. Lin Shu, enjoy your last pleasure. Chen Mo looked at the food and supplies piled around him. Then he looked at his left hand. So, the other power has not yet awakened. Chen Mo couldn't help but look forward to it. Unexpectedly, he would become a person with dual powers in this life. Just awakening a superpower consumes so much food. From this point of view, the supplies in the rental house are completely insufficient. It looks like we need to collect some more. But the problem now is, I have no money. It seems that we have to think of something. Chen Mo narrowed his eyes and pondered for a while. He raised his right hand slightly. A wisp of gray liquid was drawn out and condensed into a steel ball that hovered around him. In the coming time, Chen Mo tested the effect of the domination power. After awakening the superpower, both the 5 senses and physical fitness have been greatly strengthened. My current self is a rank 1 superpower. Physical fitness has reached the top of current human beings. Under Chen Mo's constant experiments, he became more proficient in dominating abilities. Within 3 meters is your own territory. Anything that is metal. It's all under your control. Take these steel balls condensed from molten iron. The overlord can even strengthen these metallic substances. Now I can control 3 at the same time. The maximum power is enough to penetrate the iron door a few centimeters thick in an instant. No less than a sniper rifle bullet. Chen Mo grinned. The supernatural powers of the gods are indeed extraordinary. Domination powers were originally classified as extremely powerful in the elemental system. But when people saw Shi Yuan slaughtering 2 gods with his own hands, they finally understood. Ordinary elemental powers are simply incomparable. Less than 1/10,000th. As long as Shi Yuan is on the earth, he is almost invincible. Chen Mo looked at the orange cat in the iron cage. The dark lines of awakening on its forehead were seen shimmering and becoming clearer. Murmured, are you about to wake up too? I once had AB level mental ability, mental interference. It can influence the intelligence of living beings, and it can also subtly instill an idea. Chen Mo originally wanted to use the method of mental interference to destroy this future ferocious Qiongqi after he awakened his powers. Let him consider himself the master. Now there is some trouble. Cats are inherently unfamiliar animals, let alone after becoming a strange species. In the apocalypse, Chen Mo heard that someone's dog was very loyal even if it was deformed. But I have never heard anything about cats. Chen Mo pondered for a moment and looked at the grinning orange cat in the cage. He spoke. Be honest. I'll raise you for a while longer, if you're still not mature enough. Even if you're Qiongqi, I will kill you and make stew on you. It's like he can understand what people are saying. The orange cat's fur immediately exploded. The screams became even more ferocious. Chen Mo opened the door and played with 3 steel balls in his hand. The door slammed shut with a bang. There is less than 1 day left. Tomorrow at 12 noon, the end will come. Chen Mo only goes there now for two things. 1. Obtain a large amount of food supplies. 2. Make money. Tianquan City. In a desolate and dilapidated street, Chen Mo walked into a passage leading underground. He knocked gently on the metal door in front of him. Who? A deep and dull voice sounded. Chen Mo smiled and said softly, "I'll buy some toys." The voice inside was silent for a moment, and then responded after a long time. "Come in." Squeak. The door in front of you was slowly opened. A smell of rust mixed with thick smoke hit his face. Chen Mo frowned. In this underground house, there are extremely sharp weapons placed around it. Thai sword, long sword, Damascus sword, Nepalese saber. All cold weapons are here. They were arranged neatly and shone with dazzling silver light. Sitting at the front desk was a bearded man who was smoking a cigarette and his eyes were a little blurry. He is about 30 or 40 years old. Wearing a leather coat and black tights that cling to the skin, he has a tall and burly figure. He was putting his feet up on the table and enjoying himself comfortably. The bearded man opened one eye. He took a look at Chen Mo. He teased with a sneer. "Looking at you like this, you're still a student, right? My place is very remote. How do you know this place?" Luo Tianshang. Before his rebirth, he was an extremely powerful leader of the survivor forces in Tianquan City. Before the end of the world, this person specialized in some shady business, colluded with major gangs, and had a bold and straightforward personality. And after the end of the world, they rely on these resources and a character that is not afraid of death. Occupying the largest supermarket in Tianquan City, he has great ambitions and becomes the king on his own. Chen Mo once stayed in the power he established for a period of time. So naturally I recognize him. Chen Mo smiled and said, "What? Luo Shizi can also judge people by their appearance." Luo Tianshang narrowed his eyes slightly, and his eyes became evil. The nickname Luo Shizi is only known by those who are very familiar with him. However, he looked at Chen Mo for a long time and couldn't remember where he had seen him. He couldn't help laughing, sat up and said loudly, "Ha ha, good boy, you were right. Want one?" He took out a soft drink from the drawer and handed it over. Chen Mo waved his hand. "I don't smoke." What a pity. Luo Tianshang didn't care, but looked at Chen Mo with interest and said, "What do you want to buy? As long as you bring enough money. Even if it's this thing, I have some." With that said, Luo Tianshang took out another pistol from the drawer and played with it. M&P9 pistol. Luo Tianshang wanted to see the look of shock on Chen Mo's face. But to his disappointment, Chen Mo, who was opposite him, still had a smile on his face and looked calm. Even after seeing him take out a gun, he remained unmoved. Tisk. Luo Tianshang guessed that this person might not be an ordinary person. He said, feeling bored, "Tell me what you want." Chen Mo looked at him with a smile. "Slowly say one word. Money." As soon as this statement came out, the whole scene suddenly turned cold. Luo Tianshang had a hint of murderous intent in his eyes. The pistol in his hand also released the safety. "Oh, then this is what you want. That might be a bit expensive." Luo Tianshang whispered calmly. "Tell me, who sent you here? Those Chen Tian people, or Zhao Li?" Chen Mo shook his head. Said calmly, "Neither. I need some money. There is only one day left until the end of the world. If you go to rob a bank by yourself, even if you succeed, you will be surrounded by countless special police within an hour." Not to mention that Chen Mo didn't want to waste time on this. Even if you do, Chen Mo didn't feel that he had just awakened his power of domination. Able to face dozens of people holding firearms, he slowly loaded himself with several bullets from the magazine. The best way to make money without alerting the outside world. It's nothing different than black eats black. Luo Tianshang sneered, like a lion hunting prey. He stared at Chen Mo and said, "Now that you know my name, Luo Tianshang, how dare you come here alone? I, Luo Tianshang, admire your courage." But before he finished speaking, Luo Tianshang immediately raised the pistol in his hand. Bang, 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 fired several shots at Chen Mo. If you want Luo Tianshang's money, then you have to see if you can take it with your life. Out of the blue, people like them lick blood on the tip of a knife. No worries, no identity. Luo Tianshang, who has been in this darkest place for decades, is naturally not a kind person. The attack was quick, accurate and ruthless, not even giving Chen Mo a chance to react. But Chen Mo opposite him still had a smile on his face. When those 3 bullets came towards me, buzz. It was actually hovering in the air incomprehensibly. Immediately afterwards, pap, pap, scattered on the ground. See this scene. Luo Tianxiang's pupils dilated, and his face was filled with horror. His expression was more like he had seen a ghost. The bullet stopped. Luo Tianxiang's breath was suffocated. How can this be? The scene before him directly overturned his life's knowledge. He looked at the pistol in his hand with fear. It seemed as if he was wondering if he had seen it wrong. Chen Mo grinned and walked forward slowly. I said, I'm just here for the money. Are you a human or a ghost? Luo Tianxiang roared in horror. Bang bang. Several more shots were fired one after another. Chen Mo was indifferent. When these bullets approached, Luo Tianxiang looked in shock. Turning back the same way. Come towards yourself. Luo Tianxiang trembled all over and stood there as if struck by lightning. He immediately closed his eyes tightly. Do you died? When he closed his eyes for a long time, he opened them again. Chen Mo already appeared in front of him at some point. And all those bullets hit the wall behind him, revealing several steaming little holes. Hiss. Luo Tianxiang took a breath of cold air and was frightened out of his soul. In his eyes, Chen Mo seemed to have turned into a fierce ghost who came to seek his life. Plop. His legs softened and he collapsed directly to the ground. He said with great fear, You, I'll give you whatever money you want. Do not kill me. Chen Mo showed a warm smile and said, It would have been better if it had been this way. I only need 100,000. With that said, Chen Mo silently showed the payment code on his mobile phone. But when Luo Tianxiang heard this number, his pupils dilated. My heart keeps shouting and roaring. I think Luo Tianxiang is alone, and his family fortune is not huge, but it must be hundreds of millions. Such a god who is not even afraid of a gun. He only asked for 100,000 yuan. Luo Tianxiang was about to cry but had no tears at this moment. God, if you could show your skills earlier. Let alone 100,000, even if it was 1 million or 10 million, he would definitely give it to me with both hands. But what he didn't know was, tomorrow is the end of the world. At that time, no matter how much money you have, it will be useless. Luo Tianxiang took out his phone tremblingly. Ding. XXX received 100,000 yuan. Closing square bracket. It's passed. Luo Tianxiang glanced at Chen Mo timidly. I am afraid that the other party will kill and silence me. Chen Mo smiled and nodded, patted his shoulder and said, Thank you. Chen Mo looked at Tai Dao on the side and his eyes lit up. Said, This knife is good. The price listed above is 300,000 yen. US dollars. Luo Tianxiang said quickly, Senior, you can take it if you like, take it all. Chen Mo nodded and took the sword. Said, I don't want this money from you in vain. I'll give you a piece of advice. Before 12 noon tomorrow, prepare a large amount of supplies, the more the better. Then stay here and don't go anywhere. Luo Tianxiang looked confused. Why, you'll know when the time comes. Chen Mo didn't say anything more, turned around and walked towards the door. That, Senior, Master, accept me as your disciple. I'm willing to pay any amount. At this time, Luo Tianxiang's shout suddenly came from behind. Are you kidding me? I didn't believe in these ghosts and gods before. But I have seen the skill of this god-man in front of me with my own eyes. Chen Mo paused and waved his hand, but there was no need to stop there. Luo Tianxiang was left alone on the ground in a daze for a long time. Tomorrow at noon. Luo Tianxiang kept repeating the words left by Chen Mo. His eyes flickered, and he finally seemed to have made up his mind. He gritted his teeth and said, I don't believe that such a god would lie to me. He immediately made a call. There was heavy breathing and a carefree voice on the other side of the phone. Brother Luo, why are you free to call me today? Who is it? Came a charming female voice. Luo Tianxiang frowned. This guy went out to have fun again. Luo Tianxiang said loudly. Zhang Dong, are you in the city center now? Go, send your brothers to the supermarket to clear out all the edible and usable things for me. Hiss, Brother Luo, are you trying to rob the supermarket? Who's going to rob me? Use money to buy it for me. I'll transfer 30 million to you. Buy as much food as you can. If it's not enough, call me. Send them all to me before 12 noon tomorrow. If you can't let it go, you have to let it go. Stop giving me the nonsense. Just do it if I ask you to do it. Why are you asking so many questions? Bah, Luo Tianshang hung up the phone. 30 million. Although it hurt, Luo Tianshang gritted his teeth and decided to buy it. He turned around and looked at the small holes in the wall behind him. This wall is made of alloy, and even bullets cannot penetrate it. Fight, just indulge once. Such a god must know something. Could he still lie to me, an ordinary person? In a supermarket in Tianquan City, Chen Mo bought a lot of food and water. To be honest, as far as I am concerned, this 100,000 yuan cannot be spent at all. Chen Mo had no intention of staying in Tianquan City for a long time. After awakening the two powers and safely advancing them to rank 2, they were ready to set off for North China City. In the early apocalypse, as long as you don't encounter boss-level alien species, anyone who is in good physical condition or possesses a firearm has a high probability of surviving. But if it's New Year's Eve next year, the terrifying and dangerous Nian beast codenamed 55 will appear. Unlike the gods and ferocious beasts in various regions, they will not leave their territory easily. But the Nian beast is different. Wherever it passes, not a single blade of grass grows. This lasts for a full month. That month was the darkest moment for mankind. When the Nian beast appeared for the first time, it swallowed up hundreds of millions of people and alien species. Chen Mo's eyes flickered, and he couldn't help but recall the past days in his mind. His face was unusually firm. In this life, I have the power to dominate that is comparable to that of gods. No one can stop me. Chen Mo revealed a fierce and ruthless energy. This is a temperament that everyone who survives in the apocalypse has with him. And what a coincidence, it happens to be here. Chen Mo met Wang Luyao and Li Yuan, who came to shop together. Chen Mo, Wang Luyao shouted in surprise. There is no way, Chen Mo in the supermarket is too eye-catching. Beside him, there were dozens of carts filled with food. After seeing Chen Mo, Li Yuan next to Wang Luyao. His expression changed, as if he was afraid of seeing his nemesis. Apparently he still hadn't recovered from the shock of that day. Chen Mo glanced at Wang Luyao opposite. Today, she is wearing light and casual clothes, holding a valuable satchel in her hand. With curly black hair and some light makeup, she looks youthful and beautiful, full of the vitality of a young girl. Chen Mo nodded. Seeing the other person's cold expression, it was as if he was facing a stranger. Wang Luyao felt a thump in her heart and bit her red lips. Then he glanced at Li Yuan, whose face was swollen to the color of pig liver and looked ugly. He didn't even dare to look at Chen Mo, he was scared to death. Wang Luyao didn't want her boyfriend to be such a weak person. Some dissatisfaction, but did not show it. He spoke. Li Yuan, you should go shopping first. I have something I want to talk to Chen Mo about, and I'll see you later. Li Yuan's eyes widened and his face became even more ugly. He stared at Wang Luyao with an indifferent expression. That expression seemed to say, I am your current boyfriend. And the person in front of you is clearly your ex-boyfriend. Li Yuan felt his chest filled with anger and glared at Chen Mo fiercely. HMPH, you'd better be like this. He snorted coldly, left a very unhappy word and turned to leave. Seeing Li Yuan walking away, Wang Luyao turned around. Chen Mo was still selecting supplies on the shelves. Wang Luyao took a deep breath and stepped forward. Why did you buy so many things? Eat so much. Have you finished eating? Didn't you come to see me that day? Chen Mo. You. Wang Luyao was speechless for a moment. Because she found that no matter what she asked, Chen Mo was always very cold and would only reply one word or not at all. Compared with the previous enthusiasm, he is completely different. Chen Mo. How are you doing? Wang Luyao bit her lip and asked softly. Chen Mo's movements stopped. He looked back at her with an aggrieved look. Then he started loading up supplies. He lowered his head and said, I never noticed it. Now I know. Wang Luyao was confused. What? Not only are you a holy mother, but you are also an out-and-out green tea After loading the things, Chen Mo said calmly. It's absolutely disgusting. Boom. These words were like a lightning strike. It deeply hurt Wang Luyao's heart. She widened her beautiful eyes and looked at Chen Mo with an indifferent expression in disbelief. You'd better go see Li Yuan. Otherwise, the golden turtle husband you finally caught will run away. Chen Mo pushed the cart and delivered them to the cashier one by one. Wang Luyao was left standing there dumbly, trembling all over. Even after we broke up, we still linger on each other, making it seem like we were wrong. What's more, my current boyfriend is still here. Isn't this mean? If it's not tomorrow, it's the end of the world. Chen Mo was afraid that he would ask her to pay back the money directly. Bill, please. It's the same cashier girl from before. Looking at the dozens of large and small carts in front of him, the cashier was not surprised. He said with a smile. Sir, is it still the same address? Chen Mo nodded. The cashier said while calculating the price. Okay, I'll charge you 22,112 yuan. Chen Mo directly scanned the QR code to pay. Looking at the balance on it, there is still more than 70,000. If you can't spend it all, you can't spend it all. With these supplies, it is enough for me to stay in Tianquan City for a year. Of course, this assumes that these alien species do not evolve and destroy buildings. In the middle of the apocalypse, all major war zones were established. A liquid called supply fluid will be distributed daily in the war zone. After taking it, you can go several days without eating. Of course, those big shots still prefer to eat a tableful of delicious food than that bitter and disgusting liquid. Chen Mo knows how precious this piece of bread is to ordinary people in the last days. But he doesn't care. After becoming a person with superpowers, the hierarchy between people will become more obvious. People with superpowers, no matter where they are absolutely supreme beings. Chen Mo walked out of the supermarket alone and looked at the endless horizon. The sunset and dusk are covered with beautiful morning glow, everything is so peaceful and peaceful. It's like the calm that brews before night falls. Chen Mo couldn't help but murmured. The sun is setting. It's so beautiful. Cherish it well. This last sunset. I don't know if it's because of rebirth, or if it's due to awakening the power of domination. This time, Chen Mo is facing the end of the world. There is no fear or fear. On the contrary, there is still a faint hint of expect, after Chen Mo left. Suddenly, a large number of very social-looking young and dangerous people flooded into the supermarket. They were all dressed in black suits, tall and thick-set, holding broadswords and sticks, just like thugs. Don't move. The man in black with yellow hair dyed with a cigar in his mouth shouted loudly. People in peaceful times have never seen this scene. They were immediately frightened and squatted on the ground, holding their heads and begging for mercy. A man with a rough face noticed the young and beautiful Wang Luyao and stepped forward to tease her. The little girl is pretty, would you like to have a few drinks with me? Wang Luyao suddenly woke up like she was waking up from a big dream. After reacting, he screamed and shouted subconsciously. Li Yuan! Li Yuan! She was frightened and immediately began to find Li Yuan's location. But he found that Li Yuan was leaning directly against a corner, and he was so frightened that he lay down on the spot. Anger could not help but well up in his heart. The man in black smiled disdainfully and said, Is this your boyfriend? Ha, what a coward. What the hell are you doing? At this time, an extremely angry voice sounded. From outside the supermarket, a tall man came in and cursed angrily. Didn't I tell you everything? We are here to purchase. Purchasing requires payment. Are you all going to be in heaven in this society governed by the rule of law? This is Brother Luo's order. If you continue to harass me here, you will be killed. Do you hear me? Go and buy something. When they saw the visitor, the dozens of thugs in suits present nodded as if they were rabbits seeing a tiger. Hey, sister, this is my brother's Wei. Please contact me when you have time. The big man in front of Wang Luyao laughed ferociously and reluctantly left a note. Wang Luyao's delicate body was trembling. I saw this group of people starting to buy things like crazy. He couldn't help but look at Li Yuan, who was scared to death. A look of endless disappointment appeared in her beautiful eyes. At this time, Li Yuan was more powerful than Chen Mo. It's simply a far cry from it. And the other side. Chen Mo still has so much money on hand. I had a rare indulgence and enjoyed a luxurious meal. This dinner cost more than 40,000 yuan. Finally, I enjoyed a luxurious SAP massage service worth 18,888. I returned home feeling very comfortable. Put away all the supplies you purchased. The entire rental house seemed more cramped and crowded. As if he knew what was about to happen. The orange cat in the iron cage was very restless and kept barking. The claws kept rubbing against the iron cage, making a harsh sound. Chen Mo casually tore open a bag of cat food, put it in a bowl and put it in. Meow. When the top of the iron cage opened, Chen Mo put his hand in. The orange cat made a piercing cry and grabbed his hand. Chen Mo narrowed his eyes slightly. Kaka. The surrounding iron cages began to twist and change in an instant. The orange cat was instantly stuck in the middle. If you don't obey me, you won't be able to eat the cat food. Chen Mo glanced at it lightly. Unexpectedly, this big orange raised his head very proudly and meowed several times with disdain. Obviously very disdainful of this mere cat food. Oh, thinking back to the duck leg rice that it ate yesterday, it was very exciting. Chen Mo looked at it with interest. Said, "You don't want to eat this." Meow meow. Chen Mo's eyes flashed and he opened the refrigerator directly. He took out the frozen beef that was so full that there was no room left. I didn't bother to thaw it, so I just threw it away. Do you want to eat this? The big orange cat's one eye was staring at the beef in the cage. Drool couldn't help but drop from his mouth. Meow meow. Chen Mo smiled when he saw this. Restore this twisted cage directly. The orange cat was obviously a little apprehensive and stepped forward to sniff the piece of beef. He looked up at Chen Mo again. Eat it, I would have killed you long ago. Chen Mo said calmly. I don't know how long these frozen meat products can be stored. Just let this little thing eat it if it likes it. The orange cat's eyes became calmer, as if he understood. Now it no longer has hairy hair. He chewed it with big mouthfuls. Click, click. What was surprising was that the frozen beef was like eating a popsicle in the orange cat's mouth. It was bitten into pieces by those extremely sharp teeth. Chen Mo looked at it in surprise and noticed the bite marks on the iron cage. These iron cages have been reinforced by using the power of domination. All solid. Qiongqi, the future overlord of Tianquan city, is indeed extraordinary. Before the end of the world, it showed how different it was from other wild cats and dogs. Chen Mo also took apart a piece of bread and started to chew on it. While saying, "Can you understand me?" The big orange cat who was eating frozen beef obviously paused. Chen Mo, it is said that animals can predict danger ahead of humans. I think you must have noticed something. Do you want to get out of the cage? Chen Mo asked. The big orange cat raised its head, its remaining eyes shining with an eerie light under the moonlight. Meow. Chen Mo, follow me and let you out. If you don't agree, you will die tomorrow. In order to be afraid that the big orange cat wouldn't understand, Chen Mo tried to speak as concisely and clearly as possible. The big orange cat in the iron cage didn't move. The human eyes flickered, as if they were thinking. I do not know how long it has been. The big orange cat finally crawled on the ground with its front paws and lowered its proud head. Meow. Cried out. Chen Mo nodded slightly when he saw this. He raised his right hand. The iron cage turned out to be like a broken glass bottle containing water. It turned into liquid in an instant, rushing towards the neck of the big orange cat. The molten iron turned into an extremely strong collar and was put around the orange cat's neck. Don't think about escaping, I think you should understand. Chen Mo said calmly. Meow, feeling something seemed to be wrapped around his neck, the orange cat moaned meekly. With his tail raised, he jumped onto Chen Mo's bed. She exposed her belly and rubbed his body affectionately. Chen Mo grinned when he saw this. It actually worked. He couldn't help but feel a little excited. You know, this orange cat will be very extraordinary in the future. He tore it into pieces and swallowed it whole and replaced it with the god of Qiongqi, the god of Tianquan city. With his rebirth, all of this has changed. Chen Mo gently stroked the orange cat beside him and murmured in a low voice. Tomorrow is the day when the end of the world will come. Follow me and I will restore your reputation as Qiongqi. Chen Mo slowly opened the phone. There was overwhelming hatred in his eyes. Lin Shu, your good days have come to an end. On the phone, there was a photo of a handsome, cynical and rebellious young man. In the photo, the young man is wearing a suit, and his eyes are full of pride and confidence. The profile information below is Lin Shu, president of Tianquan Xinhuang Group, 23 years old, male. His father, Lin Qiongqi, is from the Jingyuan military region, his position is unknown. Mother Xu Fengju, president of Tianyu Group and XX committee member. Yi Lin Wanli, former head of the Jingyuan military region. Lin Shu has an extraordinary background. Before the end of the world, my level would have nothing to do with this person. That's why Chen Mo left Lin Shu to deal with it until the last day. This day has finally come. The hatred of the past will end tomorrow. And this is just the beginning. The deformed god who really killed everyone is the one he wants to kill in the end. 1 day later, November 23, 2049 at 10 o'clock. Chen Mo took the orange cat with him. And go out with the sword taken from Luo Tianshang. Before leaving, Chen Mo had his last breakfast. Soy milk fried dough sticks, simple. Then he took a taxi and set off in the direction of Xinhuang Group. Tianquan City Center, Xinhuang Group. There are many high-rise buildings here. All kinds of luxury cars passed by around. A taxi stood still. Chen Mo got out of the car and looked at everything around him. Because it was a working day, there were many white-collar and blue-collar workers coming and going. Only Chen Mo was wearing a washed gray coat. It was a little out of place with the orange cat wearing an iron ring next to him. Chen Mo looked at the entrance of Xinhuang Group in front of him. Walked towards the front. Ding! The door opened. Who are you? Chen Mo just stepped in. A scolding sound came from behind. It turned out that the security personnel guarding this place stared at Chen Mo and said. The sound was very loud and attracted many white-collar workers at work to watch. However, they all looked indifferent and just looked at him for a while before leaving in a hurry. For what? This is the Xinhuang Group. No one is allowed in. The security guard holding a baton looked at Chen Mo with an unkind expression and said. Meow. The orange cat let out a sharp cry and looked at the security personnel with bared teeth. There's another cat. The security guard became even more unhappy when he saw this. Chen Mo looked calm and didn't care about other people's eyes at all. He said calmly, "Is Lin Shu here?" The security guard frowned. "Mr. Lin, what are you doing with Mr. Lin?" Chen Mo grinned and showed a bright smile. "There are some things that I need to deal with him." The security guard looked at Chen Mo's shabby outfit and sneered. "I don't care who you are. If you want to enter our Xinhuang Group, you must have a work permit to enter. Mr. Lin is not something that some miscellaneous people can meet just because they want to." Chen Mo narrowed his eyes slightly. He glanced at the device that detects work badges. Dominate the use of abilities. Bang! The equipment that detects the entrance made an abnormal sound and smoke billowed out. It's like some internal parts are broken. Chen Mo and Orange Cat walked in swaggeringly. What the hell is going on? The security guard was startled by the sudden voice. He suddenly looked at Chen Mo who had already entered and shouted angrily. "Stop! Don't force us to take action." This time, it really caught the attention of the employees within the Xinhuang Group. The scene was at a stalemate. Chen Mo remained indifferent and walked towards the front desk. Seeing the other party not giving him face like this, the security personnel felt that they could not show their face. If you just let this person in, then don't even think about saving your job. He looked at the other security guards and said loudly, "Stop this man." Forcibly broke into our Xinhuang Group, made trouble in public, and sent him to the police station. Swish, 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 5 or 6 security guards around him picked up their batons and stepped forward to surround him. They surrounded Chen Mo. Who is this guy? Is he so brave? I don't know. I guess they are the thorns sent by the group next door to cause trouble. I seem to have heard him say that he wanted to find Mr. Lin. No. Does Mr. Lin know such a person? The white-collar workers who stopped around to watch a good show were talking a lot. Stop. If you take another step forward, you won't blame us for being rude. One of the security guards shouted. Chen Mo glanced at everyone and took out his phone. November 23, 2049, 11 hours 3 minutes and 32 seconds. It's 11 o'clock. Chen Mo glanced at them, not wanting to waste any more time. Just when I was about to take action. Meow. The orange cat beside him screamed and jumped several meters high. Bite and claw at the face of one of the security guards. It was so fast that I didn't even react. Several deep blood marks have appeared. The orange cat landed and licked his paws. Immediately afterwards, came an extremely painful cry. I saw the security guard squatting down and covering his face in great pain, bleeding non-stop. Wow, the whole audience was shocked by this scene. Am I right? That orange cat actually jumped over 2 meters high. No, I know cats can jump well, but this is 2 meters. This is a big deal. If you see blood, this matter is definitely not a small matter. Everyone thought that the poor-looking guy in front of him was going to be in bad luck. Beast. Another security guard was extremely angry. He waved his baton high and hit the orange cat. When Chen Mo saw this, he moved his right index finger slightly. Bang, bang, bang. All the metal equipment around Chen Mo exploded. The baton became bent in an instant. Even the communicators and mobile phones carried by the security equipment suddenly exploded with an explosion. Countless fragments flew everywhere. The scene is horrifying. What's wrong? What happened? Those batons. The crowd suddenly became panicked. The entire first floor of the building instantly flashed red alarms and buzzed. Look, next to that guy. What is that? Someone's pupils were dilated and they looked at Chen Mo in the center of the field with disbelief. I saw silver steel beads emerging from Chen Mo's side, continuously circling, under everyone's incredible gaze. Kai. These steel balls seemed to be under his control. Suddenly he shot towards those security guards. It was just a steel ball the size of a fingernail. After it hit the security personnel, it unleashed a terrifying impact. One by one, they flew out directly. Boom, hiss. Everyone looked like they had seen a ghost. Take a breath. Some white-collar workers stared wide-eyed. He clutched his glasses tightly and murmured with a horrified look on his face. That guy is controlling those steel balls. Am I dreaming? Those beads returned to his side again, and they seemed to have a magnetic field on Chen Mo. Constant rotation. Chen Mo looked indifferent. He calmly glanced at everyone present. With a flick of a finger. Boom. One of the ball beads actually penetrated the wall of the new emperor group, creating a small hole filled with white mist. Everyone held their breath for a moment. You can hear the needle drop. Seeing this scene, everyone looked at Chen Mo in shock as if they had seen a miracle. Whoever stops me again will end up like this wall. Not loud, but in absolute silence. Reached everyone's ears. Everyone's heart trembled. I was stunned by this shocking scene. Chen Mo came to the front desk. There were 2 beautiful young women in uniform sitting at the front desk. Lin Shu, where are you? The 2 women were still in shock and had not recovered. When I saw Chen Mo's deep and evil eyes, their whole bodies could not stop trembling. He even stuttered a bit when he spoke. Lin, Mr. Lin is here. In the office on the 23rd floor. Chen Mo heard this and left without looking back. The big orange cat raised its head proudly, raised its fluffy tail, and followed closely behind. After saying this, the 2 young women gasped for air. My back was soaked. Everyone present looked at each other. Today's scene directly refreshed their worldview for decades. It's really too shocking to the world. Is this magic? Some people looked at the small hole that was pierced and felt that their limbs were a little uncontrollable. No, I don't know. How about, call the police? Yes, call the police, Chen Mo and Orange Cat entered the elevator. The elevator goes straight up, and in front of you is a piece of transparent glass. As the elevator rises, you can clearly see the bustling high-rise buildings outside. Lin Shu's location is on the 23rd floor of the Qiongqi Group building. CEO's office. Ding. The elevator stopped at the 16th floor. The door opened slowly. Standing at the entrance of the elevator were a group of young and tall girls holding coffee in hand and wearing OL uniforms. They chatted and laughed. After seeing Chen Mo in the elevator, one of them, a hot and plump woman with big waves, frowned. He said with some displeasure, "Tisk, are all the security guards of the new emperor just for a living? How did you let this kind of person in? And a cat?" The girls in front of him looked at Chen Mo's clothes. There was disdain on all faces. Forget it, of course, the supervisor is still urging us. Let's go up. At this time, a girl on the side reminded. Xie Ziran nodded, frowned and walked in with his nose pinched. It was like facing something unclean. Said, "What a bad luck." Sudden, a shrill scream sounded. Meow. The big orange cat was grinning at everyone. He looked at the women in front of him fiercely. Yeah, this frightened them to death. Some people even didn't hold the coffee in their hands properly and spilled it all over the floor. Security. Where is the security? Xie Ziran became even more unhappy and scolded loudly. Who allowed pets in the company? Be quiet, Chen Mo said calmly. The big orange cat turned to look at him, then turned around with cat steps and rubbed his trousers. Go up. Chen Mo calmly looked at the white-collar workers in front of him and said calmly. Xie Ziran glanced at the blind cat with some fear. Disgusted. Forget it, let's wait for the next trip. What bad luck. Chen Mo didn't pay attention, nodded and closed the elevator door. Bang. Wait until the elevator continues to rise. A group of white-collar workers stood there and talked in displeasure. Chen Mo looked at the time on his phone. November 23, 2049, 11 hours 30 minutes and 12 seconds. There's still half an hour left. Enough. Ding. When the elevator opens again. It was written clearly above. 23rd floor. Chen Mo walked out expressionlessly. On his wrist, which was covered by his sleeve, an iron ring gradually transformed into liquid. It turned into a sword and appeared on his right hand. Who are you? There were not many people on this floor, but Chen Mo with his weapon was obviously very eye-catching. Knife. That's a knife. Run away. Everyone was shocked when they saw this and ran away. Chen Mo dragged the knife with a murderous intent in his eyes. Walking towards the president's office. At this moment, the president of Qiongqi Group was in the room. A woman with a hot and exposed figure and heavy makeup was lying in Lin Shu's arms. His face was crimson and he was breathing heavily. Mr. Lin, you are so brave just now. The woman is an internet celebrity with millions of fans. But in front of Lin Shu, he was as well behaved as a kitten. Aren't you afraid of being discovered if you do it here? Lin Shu smoked a cigarette, put his legs on the table, and laughed loudly. Ha ha ha, this young master has the final say in Qiongqi Group. Even if it's discovered, so what? As he spoke, Lin Shu looked at the woman's towering peak with a smile. Now, I grabbed it and needed it. Hate, the female internet celebrity said shyly, but she did not refuse. And just then, bang, there was a loud noise. The door was kicked open by someone. At this moment, Lin Shu and the woman in his arms were jumped. The female internet celebrity was so frightened that she just hurriedly put on her coat. Lin Shu's face suddenly darkened after someone ruined his good deed. Staring at Chen Mo who was slowly walking from the door. Said angrily, which department are you in? Don't you know what I hate most is when someone comes to disturb me? His expression was unkind, and his eyes wanted to kill Chen Mo. But when he saw the sword in Chen Mo's hand, his pupils shrank suddenly. Lin Shu. Chen Mo walked in the door. He slowly closed the door behind him and said in a ferocious voice with murderous intent on his face. It's been such a long time no see. Hiss. I felt the overwhelming murderous aura in Chen Mo. Lin Shu was shocked. The visitor is not good. What are you going to do? Where's the security? How did you get in? An extremely bad feeling suddenly welled up in his heart. But the female internet celebrity next to her unexpectedly came over and asked in a sweet voice. Mr. Lin, who is this guy? How could I know? Lin Shu got off the stool and stepped back a few steps. I, Lin Shu, don't seem to have offended you, right? Calm down. Are you here to ask for money or something? As a proud man of heaven, he quickly calmed down. Staring at the shimmering sharp sword in Chen Mo's hand, he calmly opened the drawer with his right hand. In that drawer, there was a pistol. Both parents are high-ranking officials, and his grandfather is a big shot in the military region. This kind of thing is naturally used for self-defense. Chen Mo stared at his familiar but somewhat unfamiliar face. He showed an incomparable smile. Maybe you don't remember me. But I remember it clearly. In the 15th year of the end of the world, in order to get rid of you directly sent us to conquer that impossible mission. You was eaten bit by that god. I came back from the brink of death, but you regarded me as the sinner of this action. You don't remember any of this. Chen Mo said loudly with hatred in his eyes. I will never forget it. The scene of Yu dying tragically in front of him. And, returned to the 6th war zone. He became Lin Shu's scapegoat, exiled outside the war zone, surrounded by countless alien species and eaten. What on earth are you talking about? I felt the breath of this mountain of corpses and sea of blood. It was like a huge mountain pressing on him. Lin Shu's breathing was a little heavy, and his back was even more wet. What apocalypse? What god? Chen Mo looked at the pieces of transparent glass behind Lin Shu. I don't know when the daytime meteors have fallen in the sky, and countless people are surrounded by the public. I took out my phone and looked at this beautiful and touching scene in great surprise. You will know soon. Chen Mo chuckled. But before that, let's settle old scores first. Chen Mo dragged the sword, and every time he took a step, the sword would make a scratching sound. Plop, plop. Lin Shu felt his heart beating violently, and the female internet celebrity next to him screamed out of fear. He fainted directly. You, don't come here. Lin Shu kept retreating and looked at Chen Mo with a horrified expression. I am the president of Xinhuang Group, and my grandfather is the former head of the military region. What do you want? Money, right, I can give you whatever you want. He was screaming in his heart, why hasn't even one person from Xinhuang Group come yet? Are those security guards downstairs a bunch of trash? Don't worry, I won't let you experience what I have experienced. I won't let you die so easily. At this moment, Chen Mo was like a ghost walking out of hell. Looking crazy, step by step. I told you not to come here. Under such pressure. Lin Shu was so heartbroken that he immediately took out the pistol he had picked up before with his right hand. Bang bang bang. A string of bullets burst out. Ding. Several steel balls collided together, and several sparks burst out. The bullets were crushed and fell to the ground. Makes a crisp sound. Lin Shu was dumbfounded. His legs continued to weaken and he leaned back. You, what kind of monster are you? Why, even bullets can't hurt him. You want to kill me, Lin Shu? Then you die first. Lin Shu roared angrily and fired several more shots. Bang, bang, gunshots continued, until all the bullets in the pistol were empty. Lin Shu was panting and collapsed on his knees, breathing heavily. But when he raised his head, he found Chen Mo right in front of him. His pupils shrank, and a huge feeling of suffocation suddenly came. This is impossible. Why aren't you dead? Bang. His whole body was suddenly lifted up. Chen Mo's right hand was like a giant pincer squeezing his neck. Lin Shu's feet left the ground, his face turned red, and he kept struggling. You mean, this? Chen Mo smiled. Bullets trembled violently on the ground, then floated into the air. Came in front of Lin Shu. Lin Shu noticed these bullets out of the corner of his eye, and his eyes almost popped out of his head in fear. Monster. It's a monster. Who is he that can ignore bullets? He was pinned to the wall by Chen Mo, unable to breathe, and his whole body was twitching continuously. There was a smell. Chen Mo frowned and looked at the liquid falling to the ground. He was so scared that he peed. Cough, cough, cough. Spare my life. Lin Shu's face turned blue and purple, and he kept begging for mercy hoarsely. Have I offended you in any way? Money, I have a lot of money, I can give it to you. Chen Mo grinned and said slowly. This look really doesn't look like you. Young Master Lin. While talking, several bullets floating next to Chen Mo instantly shot into Lin Shu's limbs. PFF'd, PFF'd. Countless blood splattered. The feeling of weightlessness and severe pain came over me. Ah. Chapter 11. A scream of extreme pain sounded. Lin Shu curled up on the ground, sweating profusely in pain, grinning and rolling continuously. Chen Mo, half of his face stained with blood, touched the hot blood on his face. Ha ha. His expression became even crazier. Ha ha ha. Lin Shu, do you know that the people you killed back then were 100 times more miserable than you are now? My intestines and internal organs were taken out by the god. In my waking moments, I watched myself die little by little. And you, with the most contemptuous expression. I said something. Do you want to know what that is? Chen Mo stroked the sword in his hand and said softly. Lin Shu gritted his teeth and opened his eyes with a weak breath. His eyes were full of fear and begging for mercy. No, I do not know. Spare my life. He doesn't want to die. He was born as a proud man, and he got whatever he wanted. Even if you really kill someone, your parents and grandfather behind you will help you settle it. At most, it's just a few $1,000,000 in compensation. Chen Mo knelt down and looked at Lin Shu, who was in extreme pain, with a charming smile on his face. She bowed her head next to his ear and whispered in his tone. That is, it's just the lives of a group of low-grade people. I don't care how many people die. Lin Shu's breath suffocated, and now, those who died have come back from hell to seek revenge on you. Chen Mo's eyes were full of coldness. A silver light fell. The knife fell from the hand. Ah! Lin Shu's eyes widened and he cried out with bloodshot eyes. His limbs were chopped off cleanly. The 4 bloody holes were constantly spurting out blood. This severe pain caused Lin Shu to faint immediately. At this moment, countless hurried footsteps suddenly came from outside the door. Don't stop. You are already surrounded by us, and the snipers have locked your position. It's still too late to catch him now. An angry shout sounded through a loudspeaker. Outside Qiongqi Group, countless police cars and special police officers appeared at this moment, and the sound of sirens was endless. It's so fast. Chen Mo glanced at the cell phone that fell from Lin Shu's body. It clearly shows that the call is in progress. If he hadn't awakened his powers, he would have killed Lin Shu 2 days earlier. I am afraid that I will face the siege of hundreds or thousands of people. But now, it doesn't matter anymore. Chen Mo looked at the time on his phone. 11 hours 57 minutes and 32 seconds. 3 minutes to go. Chen Mo waved his hand and used the power of his superpower to the extreme. The surrounding objects began to tremble violently. It turned into countless molten iron and swarmed towards the blocked door. Gradually it condensed into an indestructible metal door. Bang! Outside the door, the special forces armed with guns saw this scene after breaking open the door. His eyes were shocked. When did this door appear? President's room. Chen Mo stood up and glanced at the half-dead person on the ground. Lin Shu's vitality gradually dissipated. Wrap his limbs with the molten iron to prevent him from bleeding to death. Chen Mo lifted him up from the ground. A hard punch to the stomach. PFF'd. The huge pain made Lin Shu wake up immediately. His face was pale and bloodless. Look at everything around here. Lin Shu was suddenly overwhelmed by fear. This is not a dream. This is not a dream. Spare my life, please. This was the first time he had said this. Chen Mo pressed him down with an expressionless expression. He looked in the direction of a high-rise building opposite. There is a sniper crawling here. An angry shout came from the headset. That's that gentleman's grandson. I give you permission to shoot the gangster. Shot. Bang. A deafening sound came. The surrounding transparent glass shattered in an instant. Just when the sniper thought he was killed in one shot. The sniper bullet stopped in front of Chen Mo in an instant. Chen Mo's pupils shrank. Boom. The bullet passed through his cheek and hit the iron door behind him hard. There was a sizzling smoke. The sniper on the opposite side was shocked and his expression was horrified. Lose. Failed. How can this be? Did I just see it wrong? The bullet actually stopped. Falcon, was it successful? The sniper swallowed in disbelief and said in a hoarse voice. Captain, failed. You idiot. Why didn't you kill this person? Instead, you exposed your position. Get off, and in the building opposite. A trace of blood slowly appeared on Chen Mo's cheek. Lin Shu was even more desperate at this time. Not even a sniper bullet can kill this person. He really couldn't think of any other way to kill this monster. Chen Mo clicked his tongue. The power of sniper bullets is not comparable to that of a pistol. After all, the power of domination has just awakened. If you reach rank 2, even sniper bullets will not be able to get close to your body. Chen Mo looked at the time gradually passing by on his phone. His face became even more crazy. After the tempered glass is broken, there is no protection, and if you take another step, you will fall. Chen Mo picked up Lin Shu and held him 23 stories high in the air. Look at the scene below that you once overlooked. Countless dense crowds. Lin Shu was trembling all over and his pupils were dilated. Cried out in terror. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. And this scene was clearly noticed by countless people below. A young man in military uniform noticed this scene with a telescope. Take a breath. Hiss. Put the gun down. That's Mr. Lin's grandson. Get the life-saving airbags ready. What on earth does that guy want to do? The big man in military uniform looked horrified. Before coming, they investigated everything about Chen Mo. Chen Mo and Lin Shu were completely incompatible with each other, and they didn't even interact at all. His resume is also ordinary and cannot be ordinary. Why on earth did it get to this point? What frightened him even more? How on earth could one person stop the heavily armed special forces? Lin Shu was frightened and his whole body was weak. The soul was so scared that it flew out of the sky. Chen Mo glanced at the time and laughed. Open your dog eyes for me and take a good look. The second hand keeps turning. Chen Mo recited softly. 3, 2, 1. When the time comes to 12 o'clock exactly. November 23, 2049. Buzz buzz. Everything seemed to stop at this moment. Countless beeps are ringing in the ears of people around the world. Boom. An earth-shaking loud noise came. The entire ground beneath his feet began to tremble violently. The earth is separating, opening countless abyss-like openings. The originally cloudless and clear sky turned as red as the night, and a huge hole was torn open. The extremely brilliant daytime meteors in the sky turned into life-threatening red meteorites, falling on the earth one after another. Boom. At this moment, huge waves are rolling up in the Yangtze and Yellow River basins. The ancient Yangtze and Yellow Rivers turned into a pair of black and white dragons that could swallow the sky. They rose up into the sky and erupted into a piercing roar. In the center of Tianquan City, a huge hand stretched out. In the ancient sacred land of nowhere, the sleeping gods have awakened. Flash floods, tsunamis, ground cracks, the collapse of magnificent buildings. Like the wrath of the sky, the judgment of the gods. At this moment, everything seems to have ceased to exist. The color of heaven and earth changes, and the end of the world is about to begin. Lin Shu's whole body was shaking violently, and he watched the buildings in front of him collapse one by one. There are constant explosions in the distance, gunpowder smoke everywhere, and sirens. His eyes were covered by the anomaly's red color. His lips and teeth were trembling constantly. What's going on? Chen Mo on the side also trembled when he saw this scene. However, compared to Lin Shu's fear and despair, he was excited. Bang! Lin Shu was thrown heavily to the ground. Chen Mo turned around, under this dim light. The pupils are breathtaking, shining with anomaly light. Behind him was a dark, bloody sky. Countless meteorites burning with blazing flames fell, and the sky collapsed. Countless screams and gunshots could be heard. Ah! What's wrong with you? Wake up, Captain. What happened to them? Bang 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 bang. Chen Mo opened his hands and looked crazy and ferocious. He showed an anomaly smile and said slowly, Lin Shu. Welcome to the end of the world. No one would have thought that the daytime meteors that represented good wishes would turn into meteorites that took away their lives. Natural disasters, man-made disasters, and geological disasters. In various locations in Tianquan City, people fled and wailed everywhere. All the former friends were chatting and laughing just a moment ago. It became extremely ferocious in the next second, and the alien zombies with sticky saliva in their mouths rushed toward him. The rats, cats and dogs that roamed the streets began to swell and become huge and bloodthirsty, taller than a car. In less than 10 minutes, all traffic was paralyzed and dead bodies were everywhere. In the face of this extremely anomaly natural disaster, everything seems so small and pitiable. At this moment, Chen Mo in Xinhuang group. He looked at the scene in front of him with a crazy expression. Coming. Finally come. Lin Shu was so frightened that he foamed at the mouth and became incontinent. He was in a daze, his pupils were bloodshot, and he was terrified. No. What on earth happened? Is this all done by you? Why? Lin Shu knew that he would definitely die. He roared at Chen Mo with a ferocious face. He seemed crazy, but it's also true. In this apocalyptic world, those who are alive, they are all crazy. No. Chen Mo turned his head quietly and looked at him with twinkling eyes. He grinned and said like an evil ghost, I don't have such great ability. Lin Shu, do you know? I have been waiting for this day for too long. Do you know why I'm here? Those are the souls of those who died tragically under that deformed king. They pile up in hell one by one. Push me back. Lin Shu's pupils shrank. Sudden, the severe pain struck again. His face was distorted and he screamed in agony. Ah, what are you doing? Get away. At this moment, Lin Shu was being crushed to the ground by the female internet celebrity from before. The beautiful female internet celebrity from before had large chunks of rotten flesh on her face and body for some unknown reason. The dense white bones were exposed, and the eyes were glowing red. Lin Shu, who was staring down like a ferocious ghost, bit down. Eat his flesh and blood bit by bit. Lin Shu, who had lost his limbs, had no room for resistance at all. Oh, Chen Mo was a little surprised. Then he looked at the internet celebrity who had transformed into a mutant with a smile, and let her continue to tear off Lin Shu's flesh and blood. Cut open the belly and take out the internal organs. The picture is extremely cruel. The big orange cat on the other side was also lying on the ground motionless as if dead. Chen Mo said with a joking smile. It seems that you are not so lucky to have a good match. Enjoy it, the feeling of being eaten away bit by these dirty things. Chen Mo's eyes were cold and scary. In order to prevent the zombie from biting off Lin Shu's neck was covered with molten iron. Let him watch with his own eyes as he is being devoured bit by bit. No. Looking at his intestines, his internal organs were being devoured by the zombies in front of him. Lin Shu went completely crazy. Kill me, I let you kill me. Chen Mo turned around, his face looking particularly calm and indifferent. The dried blood on his face added to the evil aura. Come to the orange cat. Chen Mo said lightly. I know you're not dead yet. Stop pretending, Qiongqi. The big orange cat on the ground suddenly opened its eyes. In this apocalyptic atmosphere, the world is enveloped in blood. Its second eye recovered miraculously. Meow. The second eye looked particularly cruel and bloodthirsty. The orange cat's body was filled with flesh and blood, and its body was several times bigger. Crack. The iron ring around its neck broke inch by inch. In the end, he was as tall as half a person. The body is strong and powerful, like a tiger. Roar. He let out a low roar. The current orange cat. It sounds more like a beast than a cat. He stared at Chen Mo with evil eyes, exuding a terrifying pressure and momentum. As if hunting prey, Chen Mo looked at the broken iron ring on the ground with a calm expression. He said calmly, Qiongqi, do you want to resist? The golden-haired beast in front of him kept turning his eyes, looking at Chen Mo. It walked gently, with 4 thick and powerful claws, and slowly came to Chen Mo's side with a fierce expression. Inhale his scent. Chen Mo made no move at all. A shocking scene was discovered. Even without the restraints of the iron ring, this beast seemed to be afraid. He crawled beside Chen Mo and rubbed his body affectionately. Let out a dull growl. Strangely enough, there are many beasts in zoos and mountains and forests. But in the end, only this orange cat stood out and became a ferocious beast, devouring the gods of the sky and sea. Chen Mo smiled and stroked Qiongqi's cat hair. No wonder you can become the overlord of Tianquan City. Just this aspect of crisis perception is enough to allow you to avoid many risks in the end times. If Qiongqi dares to bite him back, having just awakened as a mutant, he seems powerful. But it's not as good as myself in any aspect. I can easily kill him instantly. Chen Mo looked at the metal gate in front of him. Use the dominate ability. In an instant, the giant gate was turned into a pool of molten iron. The strong smell of blood and roaring sounds came to my face. It's actually a mutant zombie that looks like a soldier. Roar. Qiongqi next to him jumped up. Bite off its head in an instant. Crack, click, click. There was a chewing sound. Chen Mo did not stop this. A special existence with self-awareness like Qiongqi is better than devouring humans. What I prefer is to eat zombies and beasts of the same species. Even gods. This allows them to continue to advance and grow. Chen Mo walked out of the door. It was dark, messy and dilapidated outside the door. The surrounding walls were filled with dense bullet holes. There was a large area of incomplete corpses lying on the ground. Apparently, the special forces who had been guarding the door had retreated. Ah, help. 23 on the 3rd floor, a man in glasses, panting in uniform and covered in blood, ran away frantically. When he saw Chen Mo's appearance, he looked ecstatic. There are people. There are still people alive. He hurriedly ran towards Chen Mo. Behind him, followed a large group of alien zombies on the 23rd floor. Chen Mo narrowed his eyes slightly. He noticed the striking scars on the man's body. Dominate the surge of supernatural powers. Buzz. A large piece of silver liquid instantly turned into an extremely sharp knife handle. Puff, puff. It plunged into the center of the zombies' foreheads neatly. There was even a handful on the forehead of the man with the eyes. A streak of blood slipped from the man's sight. His entire body stood where he was. He looked at Chen Mo with disbelief on his face. Why? Then he fell to the ground with a pop. After the man with the eyes died, dark figures jumped out from behind, biting and tearing at his corpse. The 5 or 6 remaining zombies on the other side roared towards Chen Mo with extremely ferocious roars. Chen Mo didn't say much. I was just about to use the dominance ability again. Suddenly his whole body was shaken. Boom! Chen Mo's eyes changed, he looked at his hands and murmured. Is there an upper limit for the use of superpowers? Also, I used my dominance ability too many times today. For a newly awakened superpower, being able to use it 4 or 5 times is pretty good. But Chen Mo used it far more than this number of times. Fortunately, he carried a Tachi with him. Even if you can't use your powers temporarily, this physical quality is far beyond what ordinary people can compare with. Chen Mo held the sword in his hand. With one swing of the knife, he directly chopped off the head of the zombie at the front. The blood flowed like a gush, and countless amounts of blood spewed out. Several more zombies rushed towards him. Roar! Qiongqi behind him jumped up high, waved his huge paw and slapped the zombie in front of Chen Mo into 2 pieces. But the zombie that had turned into 2 parts was dragging its intestines and internal organs all over the ground. Still crawling towards Chen Mo. The knife falls from the hand. Puff, puff, Chen Mo cut off his head. The other party then became silent. These ordinary zombies can only be killed by beheading them, Chen Mo said calmly. It doesn't matter whether Qiongqi understands or not. He dragged the sword and killed him all the way out. There was blood all over the floor. Plop! When the last zombie's head fell on the 23rd floor, Chen Mo shook it hard. Shake off the blood stains on the sword. Just the human zombies on the 23rd floor are so troublesome. Not to mention what the outside world is like in Tianquan City. But fortunately, those people can also clear many obstacles for themselves. Through the glass window covered with blood and broken flesh, Chen Mo saw a sea of fire and bullets below. Outside the Xinhuang group, the thousands of soldiers who had been here before were an extremely powerful force. Among this group of special soldiers, there are also those who have transformed into zombies. With their physical abilities, they become more terrifying than ordinary zombies and cannot be killed by ordinary people. Fortunately, a group of soldiers below were under command and immediately killed the transformed people around them. The remaining people formed a Taoist wall of defense and were constantly firing to stop the zombies swarming in from all directions. Chen Mo's eyes flashed and he murmured, "Gotta hurry up. Because the natural disaster has just come to the world, and countless alien species and zombies are running rampant. When there are not a large number of survivors and the military jointly encircled and cleaned up, it is the most difficult and dangerous moment. But it is also the best time to advance your abilities." Chen Mo looked at the zombie corpses on the ground. He said towards Qiongqi, "Eat them all." Qiongqi tilted his head in confusion. Chen Mo said calmly, "It's good for you." About 10 days later, an extremely special pollution crystal will appear in the brains of these zombie mutants. That thing can advance your abilities and increase your strength. Although not now, but for Qiongqi, who is also of a different species, it is also a great supplement. Qiongqi seemed to understand and devoured the corpses one by one. Its mouth is like an abyss. Chen Mo smiled and cursed when he saw this. Just eat the key parts. He cut off a zombie's head with a tachi and kicked it over. After Qiongqi finished devouring it, one man and one beast rested for a while. Chen Mo also felt that the power of domination in his body had recovered somewhat. Go down the escape tunnel. Here, you can see large numbers of zombies coming towards you on almost every floor. I don't know the reason why he swallowed the flesh and blood before. It was these zombies that inspired Qiongqi's ferocious nature. As a heterogeneous species with individual consciousness, Qiongqi has both combat effectiveness and consciousness. They completely crushed these ordinary zombies. Click, click. Qiongqi was gnawing on the flesh and blood again, and his body seemed to grow bigger. Just look at it like this. It is estimated that it won't take long for Qiongqi to successfully advance to the rank 1 variant. Chen Mo looked at Qiongqi's back in front of him. He remembered the description about Qiongqi before his rebirth. It has a pair of huge fleshy wings on its body. He can't help being extremely ferocious by nature, and extremely fast, able to fight in the air. Inside the 13th floor of Xinhuang Group. Bang! The door was slammed shut. At the bottom of the stairs, a sob could be heard. Why did I have to go through all this? Am I dreaming? Cry, just know how to cry. Stop crying, come and block this door, we won't be able to hold on anymore. An angry voice sounded. 4 men, covered in blood, were pressing their bodies against the door. Inside that door, there were countless zombies swarming in and constantly hitting them with their heads, limbs, and bodies. Boom, boom, every impact was extremely fierce. The men all had ferocious faces, gritting their teeth and resisting the zombie attack. But since they work overtime here all year round, their physical fitness is naturally not strong. After a while, a bloody hand with bones exposed broke through the glass and came out. Ah! Screamed again. In the corridor behind the 4 men, Xie, the woman holding coffee in her hand, had disheveled hair. The clothes were in disrepair, and he hid in a corner shivering in the beautiful spring sunshine. One of the men gritted his teeth and glared at Xie, who was doing nothing. We can't hold it any longer. Why don't you fight together? Otherwise we will all die. Nowadays, who cares about the courtesy between men and women? They witnessed their colleagues around them being bitten to death by zombies one by one, and they all wanted to survive. But Xie was trembling, looking at the ferocious zombies behind the door with pale face. No, I don't want to die. She screamed and pulled off her high heels. He actually ran away crazily downwards. This scene made the 4 men present stunned. They didn't expect it. Xie actually chose to escape. Several people roared angrily. Xie, you smelly. Boom. The zombies inside the door swarmed, and there was another violent impact. This time, the 4 of them couldn't resist it. In an instant, he was drowned in the swarming zombies, roaring unwillingly. Xie, you must die a happy death. I don't want to die. I heard the abuse and curses coming from my former colleagues behind me. Xie, who was running away, looked anxious and kept comforting himself. I'm sorry, I want to live too. Sudden, because he was running away too hastily, his right foot crooked while going downstairs. Her whole body leaned forward uncontrollably. The whole person rolled down several steps one after another. All the way to the 8th floor. Such huge movement. Naturally, it attracted the attention of countless zombies. When I saw the wide open door beside me, the wandering zombies turned their heads one by one. Xie face turned pale. He was so weak that he huddled in a corner and kept crying. Don't come here. Who will save me? I'm still young, I don't want to die. Roar. But zombies don't care so much. Zombies were rushing toward her in overwhelming numbers. Xie screamed and closed his eyes tightly. And just then, a terrifying beast roar sounded. The silver light fell. Countless molten iron sealed the open door. Qiongqi tore several zombies into pieces with great arrogance. Large amounts of blood spattered on Xie face. Am I saved? When she opened her eyes again, looking at this beast that is more terrifying than a zombie, Xie felt like he had fallen into an ice cellar. He couldn't help but tremble all over and stepped back. Her teeth were chattering, but her strong desire to survive did not make her faint. Roar. After devouring these zombies one by one, Qiongqi turned around and looked at her ferociously. Xie said with extreme fear, Don't kill me. At this time, a faint voice sounded. Qiongqi. Da, accompanied by the sound of footsteps. A figure slowly walked down the stairs above. Qiongqi growled. A few bones came out of his mouth and returned to the man's side. When I saw this very familiar face, Xie delicate body trembled. What followed was endless ecstasy. Exclaimed, It's you. Shang. No. Why are you here? Xie was extremely happy. I thought that I was certain to die. But he didn't expect to meet the weird guy from the elevator before. And judging from his appearance, it doesn't seem like he has turned into a zombie. Chen Mo glanced at her. With a dull expression, he patted Qiongqi beside him. Eat these, they are all good things. Don't waste it. Qiongqi nodded, stepped forward and swallowed the brain of a zombie in one bite. Thick blood and brain fluid continued to flow from his mouth. Click, click, it looks extremely scary. Ah, Xiezaran's face turned pale. Seeing this shocking scene, I couldn't help but spit it out. For some reason, the more she looked at this beast, the more familiar it seemed to her. Holding back the chill in his heart, he spoke to Chen Mo. This is your pet. Chen Mo ignored her. Instead, he looked at the door blocked by molten iron. Bang, bang. Apparently, the zombies on the other side of the door were still banging against the door. But with their current intensity, it is estimated that it will take a lot of time. Seeing that Chen Mo didn't pay attention to him at all, Xiezaran frowned, very unhappy. I think of her, Xiezaran, who was once considered a goddess in the Xinhuang group. Within the Xinhuang group, there are countless people who pursue themselves. She thought she was born well, but there was no trace of pity in Chen Mo's eyes. The brief period of peace made her feel aloof again. Hello, I'm talking to you, Xiezaran said with some dissatisfaction. Why are you here? Did you make this wall too? Chen Mo turned around and stared at her with cold eyes. You'd better be quiet, the moment you see each other's eyes. Xiezaran was as cold as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. She swore that this was the coldest look she had ever seen in her life. Xiezaran was so frightened that he could not speak for a while. But soon, she reacted. There are only two people here, myself and this guy. I am a weak woman and my foot is sprained. If no one helps, I'm afraid I'm really going to die here. Looking at the sword in Chen Mo's hand. This guy must be very powerful if he can come down from upstairs safely. Xiezaran thought secretly. Her expression instantly became very aggrieved. He showed a pitiful look. Said delicately, I'm hurt. Can you help me? I completely forgot how unattainable it was before. Chen Mo glanced at her. I have to say that Xiezaran has a good figure, well proportioned and very hot. The LA uniform he was wearing also became dilapidated for some reasons, revealing the beautiful scenery inside. But Chen Mo has seen too many green tea like this. In the end of the world, this kind of beautiful but useless woman. Either they become the playthings of the big guys, or they survive by selling their bodies in exchange for food. No, Chen Mo said simply. Xiezaran's beautiful eyes widened, and then she said angrily in embarrassment. Are you still a man? I'm hurt. Aren't you going to help me? Ding. A sword was directly inserted deeply into the wall beside Xiezaran. Xiezaran's pupils shrank and he looked at the sword beside him. Her delicate body couldn't stop trembling. Shut your mouth. Chen Mo grinned and said slowly. Have you forgotten? The people who helped you before. All dead. Chen Momo quietly drew out his sword and looked at Qiongqi aside. Seeing that it has almost eaten, he said calmly. Let's go. Don't go. The desire to survive ultimately trumped reason. Xiezaran grabbed Chen Mo's clothes tightly and begged with tearful eyes. Take me with you. I don't want to die. I beg you. Chen Mo frowned. Why should I bring a burden with me? Xiezaran's beautiful eyes flashed with a hint of madness, and he simply took off his upper body uniform. Tear. The plump breasts have jumpy peaks and 2 spots of bright red, exposing large areas of snow-white and attractive skin. It was still stained with blood and looked strangely beautiful. As long as you can take me with you, you can do whatever you want to me. Obviously before the end of the world, she was still the goddess that ordinary people could not even imagine. Now, she actually has to do something that only a fool can do. Just because she wants to live. Chen Mo said mockingly with his eyes. Your body. Yes, Xiezaran said, biting his lips in great humiliation. My body. She didn't believe that someone could remain indifferent after seeing herself like this. Chen Mo's face was expressionless, showing a sneer. Ridiculous chips. After saying that, Xiezaran was not given any room to maneuver. Just like that, Qiongqi and I walked towards the stairs below. Zitza. The iron door beside him began to gradually melt. Seeing their figures getting further and further away, Xiezaran's beautiful eyes showed a deep look of fear. She screamed loudly as she crawled forward. No, don't leave me. I can do anything. I can do anything. Roar. Roars came one after another. Xiezaran's beautiful eyes widened. His eyes were full of despair and disbelief. The iron gate that resists zombies. It disappeared. No, If you don't save me, I curse you to die badly. Save me, save me. Xie Ziran struggled wildly, but more and more zombies fell on her. Her proud body was torn apart bit by the zombies. At last, in the end, he ended up like the 4 men before. Chen Mo listened to the screams and curses echoing in the corridor. There was no fluctuation in my heart. In this end of the world where people cannibalize people. Sometimes, the scariest thing is not the alien zombie, but the teammates who stabbed him in the back. Food, women, crystal nuclei, status. All of these may lead to huge hidden dangers. After arriving at the first floor of Xinhuang Group. Because most of the zombies on the first floor have been attracted by the gunfire of the troops outside the Xinhuang Group. So there are not many zombies left here. Chen Mo held the sword in his hand and killed the last zombie neatly. Walked out of Xinhuang building. Looking at the crimson sky, a terrifying blood moon hung high in the sky. In the apocalypse, there will be no day or sun. This means that before the establishment of major war zones, no one can settle down in one place to farm and produce their own food. You have to go out and find unspoiled food before you run out. Fortunately, at home, Chen Mo had prepared a lot of food in advance. It is enough to persist until the awakening of another of your abilities and the 2 abilities are upgraded to rank 2. The zombies outside the Xinhuang Group have been basically cleared away. Not far away, there were 20 or 30 remaining Special Forces soldiers forming a defensive wall. Constantly resisting zombies coming from all directions. Fire! All fire on them and kill all these ghosts. I don't want to die. Will we die? I still have a wife and children at home, let me go. Let me go. I want to go back. Under the protection of this group of special forces, there were 20 or 30 Xinhuang Group employees squatting in the center. Zhang Haifeng became angry in an instant. He stepped forward and kicked the middle-aged man who was about to leave. Do you want to kill everyone here? Don't stop him, let him die. He is the commander-in-chief here. This operation was originally intended to rescue Mr. Lin's grandson. But I didn't want such a shocking thing to happen. Looking at the collapsing buildings around him, he looked at the dark red sky. And the zombies swarming in front of them like a tide. Zhang Haifeng frowned. He couldn't even contact the military area via the satellite phone. He couldn't help but curse angrily. What happened to this world? If this continues, we will all die. At this moment, a scream came from the special forces in front. Someone was bitten again. Bang bang bang. Several gunshots rang out. A man in military uniform hurried over and said in a deep voice. Team leader, out of bullets, let's retreat. Zhang Haifeng's breath was suffocated. Looking at the group of people who were still alive in front of him, his eyes kept flickering as he thought about something. There are only a few cars available now, and the total number of people here is 30 or 40. This does not include the soldiers who remain here. It's definitely not enough. Another scream sounded. Zhang Haifeng was so anxious that he was sweating profusely. At this moment, an exclamation came from the crowd. What is that? Look at that guy, so strong. Wait, isn't he the one who forced his way into the Xinhuang Group before? Is he Superman? Zhang Haifeng looked in the direction. I saw it on another road at the entrance of Xinhuang Group. Chen Mo and Qiongqi were frantically hunting zombies. Qiongqi's eyes were fierce, like a tiger's, and he would tear a zombie into pieces with one claw. Chen Mo relied on his powerful body and 15 years of combat experience in the last days. Like a dark devil, holding a sword, surrounded by countless zombies, there was no sign of fear at all. On the contrary, he was able to cut off a head with ease with one strike. PFF'd. This scene is really too exaggerated. It is in sharp contrast to the dozens of armed soldiers who are struggling to resist here. Rao is Zhang Haifeng, who has many years of experience as an instructor. After seeing such smooth movements and crisp methods, they couldn't help but widen their eyes and said harshly, "What the hell, is it that gangster?" He rubbed his eyes in disbelief. At this time, the soldier beside him spoke. "Captain, he was the one who killed Lin Shu, the president of Xinhuang Group. Are you going to shoot your sister?" Zhang Haifeng glared at him angrily. He cursed angrily. "When are they here? How many bullets do you still have in the barrel of your gun? Why don't you use these ghosts against your own people? Take someone to cover your back." Let's retreat behind that guy. Zhang Haifeng glanced at a group of ordinary people squatting on the ground with their heads in their hands, cowering. There are more and more of these ghosts. In the end, I'm afraid everyone will die here. The appearance of Chen Mo gave him a glimmer of hope. In other words, even if that person killed the president of Xinhuang Group. But if only there were nearly 100 people present, they could be saved through him. That's a hero. Special moments require special means. He, Zhang Haifeng, is not a person who doesn't know how to adapt. He made a quick decision and spoke immediately. Let these ordinary people get on the bus. We're sheltering behind. There are no bullets. Is that police knife of yours used for food? Take it out and chop it for me. After he gave the order, the crowd immediately started to chat. These more than 100 people continued to move forward and evacuate following the path Chen Mo had carved. Chen Mo, who was at the front, naturally noticed the movement behind him. PFF'd, killed another zombie. He turned his head and glanced at the troops who were following behind him but keeping a certain distance. Nothing more was said. Instead, he continued to move forward. Zhang Haifeng, who was holding a telescope, breathed a sigh of relief when he saw this. Murmured. It seems he agreed. Bring me a gun and cover for him. Putting down the telescope, Zhang Haifeng became more and more frightened as he looked. Who is he? They had seen the horror of these zombies with their own eyes. Unless the head is shot, even if the limbs and body are beaten into a sieve, they will not die, and a lot of bullets are wasted. And this guy of unknown origin actually seemed to be able to deal with so many zombies with ease. Does Mr. Lin's grandson have a grudge against him? Zhang Haifeng's eyes flashed as he looked at the document recording Chen Mo. Looking at more and more zombies around. Chen Mo's body was already covered in blood. Even after awakening and strengthening his powers, he couldn't help but become more and more strenuous. Coming to the city center on the first day of the apocalypse is tantamount to a risky move. But the chance to kill Lin Shu is only this one. Because after today, given Lin Shu's special status, an armed helicopter will come to pick him up as soon as possible. Take him to the safest place. Roar! Another zombie pounced. Bang! A huge gunshot sounded. One shot to the head. It turned out that it was Zhang Haifeng who was behind him who fired the shot. Chen Mo took a look, and the other party showed a friendly smile. Chen Mo nodded and continued to move forward. In the middle of the advance, more and more people seeking refuge gathered around Zhang Haifeng. It can't even fit several cars. Zhang Haifeng looked at the crowd following the car and said with a headache. Hasn't the support from the military region arrived yet? It won't be a problem if this continues. And just then, the ground beneath my feet suddenly rumbled and trembled violently. The surrounding buildings continued to collapse with large pieces of rubble. Smash it into the crowd. Qiongqi's hair stood on end, and his expression suddenly became extremely ferocious. Extremely uneasy, he began to growl. When Chen Mo saw this, he seemed to have thought of something. He suddenly looked at the crowd behind him, and a huge crack suddenly opened in the ground beneath his feet. From it, a giant hand full of fat stretched out. The giant hand swept across and grabbed a large number of survivors, including people and vehicles. Ah! Help me! Help me! Countless screams rang out. Zhang Haifeng took a breath and looked at the huge, fat arms that stretched out from the ground, more than 10 meters long, like a baby. Even a military vehicle looked so small in front of it, caught in its hands. Countless survivors were struggling above, and some even jumped from above and fell into a ball of flesh with a pop. What is it again? Zhang Haifeng was stunned. Hee. From the bottomless crack, there was a faint sound similar to a baby's cry, Anomaly's incomparable laughter. Ha 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 ha. When hearing this sound, Chen Mo's pupils shrank and his eyes flashed continuously. Qiongqi God, why did you wake up so quickly? He turned his head and looked at the people not far behind him, and spoke decisively. Qiongqi, let's go. The experience of surviving for 15 years in the last days told him the strength of the early gods. At least equivalent to a rank 4 superpower. It is absolutely beyond the reach of ordinary people. Just when Chen Mo was about to abandon everyone and leave with Qiongqi without hesitation, the violent earthquake suddenly stopped. Well, so sleepy, so sleepy. In Chen Mo's ears, this baby-like voice suddenly sounded. Chen Mo's expression became a little shocked, and he looked toward the ground in disbelief. I even had some doubts as to whether I heard it wrong. This is the voice of the god of Qiongqi. Why can I understand the language of gods? Except for the special and incomparable gods in the end of the world who can speak. The languages spoken by other gods are simply incomprehensible. So sleepy, sleepy. The voice sounded again. Chen Mo frowned and immediately looked at his left hand. I saw that the dark lines of awakening on my left hand were actually flashing with a faint purple light. Ability. When the earthquake stopped, the fat giant hand gradually retracted into the crack of the abyss. A group of ordinary people had never seen such a horrific scene. There was an uproar in the crowd for a while. Wow. I want to go home. I want to go home. I don't want to die in this hellish place. What's going on in this world? Zheng Haifeng was also shocked and could not calm down for a long time. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something. But that was just one hand, which directly shattered his worldview. Zheng Haifeng looked down at the ground, his face showing great fear. What kind of monster is hidden underground in Tianquan City? Suddenly, something seemed to come to mind. Zheng Haifeng looked at Chen Mo in the distance. A terrifying conjecture came to mind. Did this young man specifically choose this day to kill Lin Shu? Had he expected this to happen? Zheng Haifeng shook his head violently. Trying to wake up a little bit, he shouted. Quiet, everyone. We have contacted the military, and someone will come to rescue us soon. If you are so loud, you will attract those ghosts over again soon. Roar. A series of shocking roars came. Zheng Haifeng's expression froze and he turned his head stiffly. Behind the crowd, a dense and overwhelming tide of corpses was seen coming. Countless zombies gathered here in huge numbers, each one covered in flesh and blood, roaring and rushing towards me like locusts passing by. Many of the zombies fell into the huge abyss, but this still couldn't stop their progress. It's over. This is the only thought in Zheng Haifeng's mind at this moment. Bang bang bang. The sound of gunfire exploded again. Even he couldn't help but feel desperate at this moment. No, I don't want to die. Run away. The survivors who finally gathered together. After seeing such a terrifying scene of a mountain of corpses and a sea of corpses, everyone suddenly became a mess. Run away desperately. At this moment, the sound of rumbling engines suddenly sounded from the horizon in the distance. One after another, extremely dark armed helicopters arrived, continuously firing extremely dense attacks. Boom, boom. Large tracts of zombies died tragically in this indiscriminate bombardment. Hey, can you hear me? Zheng Haifeng, please answer if you hear me. Please answer if you hear me. The radio communicator rustled nearby. Zheng Haifeng looked ecstatic, took it and said loudly. Hold on. Support is coming. I'm Zheng Haifeng, you can hear me. Zheng Haifeng responded with great joy. There are hundreds of survivors here and they need help. The other end of the communicator replied immediately. Receive. We are the special personnel of the 13th War Zone and are providing support. Is Mr. Lin's grandson Lin Shu among your team? Lin Shu. Zheng Haifeng's face darkened and he looked at the armed helicopters in the sky. I immediately understood why the military region sent such a large firepower personnel. Lin Shu is dead. What did you say? The other end of the communicator lost his voice, looking particularly shocked. Zheng Haifeng said loudly, don't worry about so much now. I still have hundreds of survivors here. You are all here, cover for me and send these survivors to a safe place first. Quote. The other end of the address book responded after a moment of silence. Understood. I have a very special person here. You guys. Having said this, Zheng Haifeng looked in Chen Mo's direction. It was discovered that Chen Mo and the beast at the front had left at some point. Zheng Haifeng was startled. The bullets in the gun in his hand have been exhausted. He simply picked up a police standard knife and roared directly into the chaotic crowd in front. Protect these survivors. Support is coming. Back up. Boom. Bang bang bang. At this moment, Chen Mo was already riding on Qiongqi. There were countless roars and explosions behind him, flames shot into the sky, and countless gunpowder smoke rose everywhere. Chen Mo turned his head and glanced at the armed helicopters in the sky. Sneered. Lin Shu's treatment is indeed different. They actually used such a large force to come here. Fortunately, Lin Shu is now too dead to die. If he is really allowed to enter the military area, it will be difficult to kill him. But, Qiongqi, I didn't expect your speed to be quite good. Chen Mo patted Qiongqi, who was running continuously under the seat. Qiongqi growled dissatisfiedly. In the apocalypse, there are ruins of high-rise buildings everywhere, and vehicles cannot drive very far before they are blocked by collapsed buildings. Qiongqi, on the other hand, was extremely strong and vigorous, constantly shuttling and jumping on top of the collapsed buildings. Running forward very quickly. The zombie brains that Qiongqi ate before were put into use, and now Qiongqi is huge. No less powerful than an adult tiger, even stronger. Chen Mo rode on Qiongqi. Holding a sword in hand, one man and one beast smashed and chopped down the zombies rushing around one by one. Judging from the current level of evolution of zombies, it is impossible to catch up with their speed. In the old town. Left the city center. Once here, zombies begin to become scarce. Most of the zombies around were transformed by old people, and their speed and aggressiveness were greatly reduced. Chen Mo rode Qiongqi in a circle and roughly cleaned up all the zombies near his residence. PFF'd. A zombie's head was cut off. Chen Mo came to the downstairs of his house and murmured. About there. After looking at Qiongqi beside him, Chen Mo said with a smile. The current body shape is still barely adequate. I'm afraid I won't be able to accommodate you if I get older. Qiongqi screamed in dissatisfaction. As soon as I walked into the corridor. Roar. A zombie came face to face. Click. Chen Mo raised his knife and dropped it. He looked at the head rolling down in front of him with an extremely calm expression. He knew this man. Landlord. A few days ago, I came to collect my rent. Don't worry, the rent will be yours. I will burn it for you on Qingming Festival in the future. Chen Mo said slowly. As a person, you must have principles. Then go upstairs. Chen Mo almost killed him all the way. Blood flowed like a river, and the stairs beneath my feet were filled with blood. Qiongqi, deal with it. Same as usual. Let Qiongqi dispose of all these corpses. Chen Mo looked at the iron door in front of him and opened it with the key. Squeak. A dazzling array of food and mountains of supplies appeared in front of him. Chen Mo let out a long sigh of relief. The satisfaction of stocking up before the end of the world. It burst out in an instant. He was so hungry. He directly picked up a pack of compressed biscuits, mixed it with water and chewed it. Qiongqi on the side licked his fur and let out a low growl of dissatisfaction. Meat. Chen Mo took out a few pieces of frozen beef from the refrigerator and threw them away. Said somewhat helplessly, you've eaten so much, why are you still thinking about eating? No, the same. Chen Mo was stunned. He looked at Qiongqi in front of him with wide eyes, showing a bewildered expression. Etc. Were you talking just now? Qiongqi let out another low roar. Me. Intermittent sounds sounded. Chen Mo's expression became more and more exciting. Looking at the dark lines of awakening on his left hand, it was indeed shining with a faint luster again. The same thing happened when I met the god of Qiongqi before. It seemed like I could hear what the other person was saying. Now, it seems that I can understand what Qiongqi is saying. But the awakening dark pattern on his left hand is not complete yet. And I didn't hear the whispers when my powers were awakened. This means that the power has not yet awakened. Chen Mo stared at Qiongqi for a while and said, can you communicate with me? Qiongqi nodded. Chen Mo grinned. Interesting. It seems that my second power is a bit unusual. In the middle of the apocalypse, mankind finally found a place to contend. Someone once proposed to talk to the gods and ask about their origins. But because no one knows the language of the gods, and most gods will kill humans when they see them. The matter was settled. If you can talk to the gods, you will have a chance to understand where they come from and what all this is. Chen Mo didn't think too much, but stretched out, feeling a little sleepy. A little sleepy. It's time to take a bath. Chen Mo shrugged. In his small room, the most it contained was clean water. In the apocalypse, it is really difficult to find a clean water source. In order to accommodate the water, Chen Mo specially cleared all the tables and chairs at home. Free up a large area of space for placement. After taking a simple bath, Chen Mo used his dominance power to seal off the surrounding area. I lay on the bed and gradually fell asleep. Early the next morning, Chen Mo was struck by an extremely noisy voice that kept repeating. Unknown changes have occurred around the world. Survivors, please wait patiently in your safe areas. The army will come to rescue soon. Pay special attention. If anyone around you is unfortunately harmed by zombies, please stay away quickly. Get away quickly. Chen Mo slowly opened the bars. The sky was still a deep red, like evening. At this moment, some scattered zombies appeared under the corridor, wandering like lonely ghosts. The land was in ruins and chaos, and the air was filled with gunpowder smoke and the smell of blood. A loudspeaker in the distance was constantly broadcasting this news. It feels like a world away. Chen Mo's eyes flickered and he couldn't help but murmured. Turn out to be. It's not a dream. Slowly open the bars and rest and recover after a night. Plus there is food and water. My mental state and ability recovery have improved a lot. This is only the first day of the end. Even those survivors who are not looking for food and water can probably persevere. It's nothing more than some mental pain. But Chen Mo knew. As the end of the world continues to advance, zombies and alien species gradually become stronger. The space for survivors will be compressed smaller and smaller. The most important thing is mentality. Many of them couldn't bear it, and there were also a few who went crazy and committed suicide. Chen Mo sat on the bed very calmly. He glanced at the mountains of food and supplies piled beside him. After another week, these zombies will be able to condense crystal nuclei in their minds. I am now considered a rank 1 superpower. If I want to improve, I need the help of the crystal core. Although the crystal core can increase the intensity of superpowers, this does not prevent Chen Mo from exercising his superpowers and physical fitness every day. The 9th day of the end of the world. During this period, Chen Mo and Qiongqi hunted the surrounding zombies almost every day. With daily training, the range of the dominance ability has been expanded from the initial 3 meters to 5 meters. And Chen Mo gradually regained the feeling he had during the 15 years of the apocalypse. The only drawback is that during this period, another ability has not yet awakened. But the dark pattern of awakening has become more and more perfect. In a dilapidated street, a roar sounded. After devouring alien species for many days, Qiongqi's current size has become even larger and more ferocious. With a roar, he immediately tore towards the large group of zombies in front of him. Wherever the extremely thick claws passed, huge blood splashes were set off, and zombies were instantly cut in half and dismembered. On the other side, Chen Mo faced the 20 or 30 zombies in front of him. Dominate the use of abilities. The surrounding abandoned vehicles became extremely twisted and rolled towards the group of zombies in an instant. Boom! The group of zombies were caught in the middle. Chen Mo raised his right hand. In an instant, extremely sharp pieces of iron shot out from those abandoned vehicles, directly piercing the bodies of the zombies in front of them. Chen Mo stepped forward and split the head of a zombie with a knife. The scene was extremely bloody, with brains flowing everywhere. Among them, Chen Mo saw a lavender crystal core shining with crystal light. Chen Mo's face lit up, and he put his hand in without caring about the disgusting squirming brain. He took out this quail egg-sized crystal core. Although it is just the most ordinary crystal core, it is not even rank 1. But for me now, it is definitely enough. Chen Mo looked at Qiongqi, who was about to make a move, and said, "Don't you like eating these heads? No need now. See this, take out all these things." Qiongqi nodded in understanding, and then bit off the head of a zombie in front of him. He chewed for a while, then spit out a crystal core covered in saliva and blood and brain matter. Chen Mo was stunned, took a deep breath and said, "Forget it, just eat this crystal core. I will do it myself." He used his mastery power to condense an extremely sharp knife. He cut open the brains of these zombies with great skill and took out the crystal cores. Creak. Behind him, there was a sound of something breaking. Chen Mo's expression changed. An iron blade exploded behind him. "Who's there?" Bang. There was a loud noise not far behind. Then, a scream sounded. Don't kill me. Anyone else?" Chen Mo narrowed his eyes and stared at the scrapped car opposite. "Do not kill me. Chen Mo, it's me." From behind the car, a young man slowly climbed out. The young man's face was thin, his cheeks were covered with blood, and his clothes were stained with blood everywhere. His hair was messy and his expression was extremely panicked. Chen Mo frowned when he saw the person coming. Li Yuan. Li Yuan's face was extremely pale and bloodless. He originally planned to look for food, but suddenly he heard a huge noise here and wanted to come and take a look. I happened to come across the horrifying scene of Chen Mo opening boxes for the zombies. He had a grudge against Chen Mo, he wouldn't kill him to silence him, right? Li Yuan said with a look of fear. Chen Mo. I'm really just passing by, passing by. Chen Mo looked him over. Said with interest. What a coincidence. While exploring here these days, Chen Mo also noticed the footprints of many survivors. Because I didn't want to get involved too much with these people, I simply avoided them. Unexpectedly, Li Yuan would appear in this place. Qiongqi growled. Li Yuan choked for breath and hurriedly came to Chen Mo and knelt down to beg for mercy. Don't kill me, Chen Mo. It was my fault before, I shouldn't have stolen your girlfriend. But I don't even know that it was Wang Luyao, that Wang Luyao who betrayed you first. Li Yuan clutched Chen Mo's trousers tightly and kept pleading. Chen Mo narrowed his eyes slightly and stared at Li Yuan, who was kneeling on the ground. Suddenly he laughed and said, I think if you don't come out with that knife, this sentence may be more convincing. Li Yuan was shocked all over. He suddenly raised his head and said with a fierce look on his face. Die to me. If it weren't for you, how could that stinky Wang Luyao betray me? He took out a small knife from the lining of his clothes and immediately stabbed Chen Mo in the heart. Li Yuan's face looked crazy. He had been so hungry that he hadn't eaten for a long time since the beginning of the apocalypse. And what's in front of him is his enemy. I remembered what Chen Mo said to me before, if I don't kill him, he will kill me. Li Yuan's eyes were red and he looked crazy, so he decided to strike first. The knife in front of me was about to pierce into Chen Mo's body. The knife in his hand unexpectedly stopped Anomaly. No matter how hard Li Yuan tried, he couldn't penetrate even a tiny bit. Chen Mo smiled playfully. This thing is of no use to me. Li Yuan's pupils dilated, and he looked at Chen Mo with shock and disbelief written all over his face. His face was distorted and he used all his strength. But this knife is like a towering Mount high, unable to move at all. Weird, monster. Li Yuan trembled all over and suddenly collapsed to the ground. He kept kowtowing and begging for mercy. I was wrong, Chen Mo. I was really wrong, Chen Mo, I didn't mean it. Please spare me, okay. I can give you Wang Luyao and everything else. Chen Mo shook his head and sighed. Li Yuan, you may not know that I didn't want to kill you. How are you and Wang Luyao, and what does it have to do with me? Li Yuan's face froze. Roar. Suddenly, Qiongqi on the side opened his mouth. Bite his head off in one bite. Blood spurted out like a fountain. The headless corpse in front of him fell to the ground with a pop. Chen Mo's face was extremely calm. There wasn't even a trace of excitement in my heart. The apocalypse can constantly erode a person's will. Even if he didn't turn into a zombie, he was still under the combination of fear and hunger. Li Yuan, who was already cowardly, had already gone crazy. The moment he took action, his end was doomed. Chen Mo looked at Li Yuan's body indifferently, then turned around and continued to collect crystal nuclei. After taking out all the crystal nuclei from the brains of the zombies in the field, Chen Mo looked at Qiongqi and said, let's go. One person and one beast left the place together. I do not know how long it has been. When someone comes here, looking at the very familiar headless corpse on the ground, his pupils shrank and he quickly backed away in fright. Li Yuan is dead. Until evening, Chen Mo returned home. I took inventory of the crystal cores harvested during this trip. 30 pieces in total. Because it is the early days of the apocalypse, not all zombies can produce crystal nuclei. In addition, the zombies here in the old city are relatively weak, which is also a large part of the reason. However, the 30 newly born crystal cores are completely enough for myself to be rank 1 with superpowers. There are 2 ways to absorb crystal nuclei. One is to hold it in the palm of your hand and use your powers to sense the energy in the crystal core. The second type is to bite it into pieces and swallow it directly. Not a big difference, the only thing worth paying attention to is there is an upper limit to the number of crystal cores that a rank 1 superpower user can use every day. Depending on the strength of the superpower, the effect varies from person to person, and most are in the range of 3 to 10 cores. The more powerful the power, the more crystal nuclei it can absorb. If used too much, a person will lose their mind and become a mutant. Chen Mo held a crystal core the size of a quail egg in his hand, closed his eyes and began to absorb it. The surrounding iron doors and windows shook slightly. Qiongqi on the side also tilted his head and looked at Chen Mo with great curiosity. Pa-ta, pa-ta. Crystal nuclei fell to the ground one by one. 1, 2, 3. The 10th one. Chen Mo did not choose the safest way to absorb 10 crystal nuclei. Until the 11th crystal core. A thin layer of sweat appeared on his forehead. In his mind, a crazy killing thought suddenly surged. Countless painful memories of the last 15 years surfaced. And just then, Chen Mo's left hand suddenly flashed with a purple light. The violent thoughts in his mind disappeared in an instant. Chen Mo opened his eyes and looked at his left hand in disbelief. This is. He felt that the power in the crystal core was suddenly absorbed by his left hand. Chen Mo didn't believe it and tried 2 more pills. His eyes suddenly brightened. It's already the 13th one. I actually exceeded the upper limit of statistics. You know, these are extremely precious experiences in the last days. They are all summarized from the corpses of countless people. Even an SSS level rank 1 superpower can only absorb 10 at most. After sucking up the last crystal core, Chen Mo felt that this was not his upper limit. It seems to be because of the second ability. In the subsequent absorption, the previous situation never happened again. 20, 30. Buzz. Dominate the use of abilities. The metal in the home seems to come alive and establish a connection with itself. It turns into a liquid and floats continuously. Qiongqi stared at this scene with wide eyes and great curiosity. Make a low whining sound. Chen Mo came to the balcony, narrowed his eyes, and a steel ball shot out instantly. It didn't fall until it was dozens of meters away. 10 meters. Rank 2 superpower. He is becoming more and more comfortable mastering metal. In other words, if the situation of encountering a sniper rifle happens again, give yourself plenty of reaction time. There won't be the same dangerous situation as when Lin Shu was killed last time. Within the scope of this dominant power, the power of the sniper rifle can be completely ignored. Chen Mo's eyes lit up. He looked at the dark lines of awakening that became clearly visible on his left hand and murmured. Did you absorb the power of other crystal nuclei? This second power of my own may be even more extraordinary than the dominance power. At this moment, the old town. In an abandoned factory building that has been abandoned. Please, give me some food. These foods were originally mine. Please, my daughter is dying. Go away. Boom. A sturdy, very social-looking man wearing a vest pushed away the pleading middle-aged man in front of him. And here, there are dozens of people around, including men and women. They are all survivors here, and each of them seems to have become accustomed to it, looking at each other coldly and indifferently. Wang Hu laughed ferociously. Want food? Okay, go outside and look for it yourself. If you want food, you have to see if Angkor Tong agrees. The middle-aged man looked ferocious, and finally couldn't bear it anymore and rushed towards Wang Hu. Roared, it's okay for you to steal my food. I just want to save my daughter. You beasts. If Chen Mo were here, he would definitely find the middle-aged man in front of him. It was the owner of the small restaurant, Lu Jiangguo. You, how dare you fight back? Wang Hu became angry and kicked him directly. With his 1.8-meter strong physique, this kick directly knocked Lu Jiangguo to the ground. He pressed directly on him and punched Lu Jiangguo hard on the head. Bang, bang, a beating. Lu Jiangguo was beaten badly, his head was bruised and bloody, and he had no chance to fight back. I can only keep holding my head. Suddenly, Wang Hu seemed to have discovered something. He noticed a watch in Lu Jiangguo's hand, and his eyes lit up. He grabbed it. This watch is good, it's mine. Wang Huzhong looked at Lu Jiangguo, who had bloodied flesh and blood on the ground and had fierce and crazy eyes, and sneered. He spat and said disdainfully, "What, you're still not convinced?" Wang Hu looked at the crowd sitting on the ground around him and sneered. "Do you even want to eat? I'll give you a chance. Beat him, don't beat him to death. The one who beats him the hardest will be rewarded with a piece of bread." After saying that, Wang Hu took out a palm-sized piece of packaged bread from his pocket and threw it on the ground. "Mine, that's mine," Lu Jiangguo roared hoarsely. When the people around him heard this, their eyes flashed with desire and greed. He kept swallowing his saliva. Some even immediately stepped forward and pretended to be punching and kicking Lu Jiangguo. The dozens of people present could not sit still, and all of them rushed forward like wolves and tigers. When Wang Hu saw this, he laughed even more wildly. Ha ha ha, not bad, not bad. Just don't beat me to death. Thinking about Wang Hu, he was just a gangster before the end of the world, and everyone looked down on him. And now, everyone is respectful to themselves and serves them like an uncle. At this moment, a squeak sound sounded. A young gangster with dyed yellow hair spoke. Brother Hu, Brother Ang asked you to come in and tell you something. Wang Hu was stunned for a moment, then walked over and said, "What's going on?" He pushed open the door. In the center of the room sat a middle-aged man with a big belly and a suit. The gangster stood there respectfully. Wang Hu stepped forward and said loudly, "Brother Angkor, what do you want from me? The man in front of me was once a wealthy businessman in Tianquan. His name is Wu Qigong." Wu Qigong was covering his face and crying. The yellow-haired boy beside him bowed his head and whispered in Wang Hu's ear. "Brother Tiger, Brother Ang is very sad now. Here, did you see the body on the ground? It belongs to Li Yuan." Wang Hu was stunned and looked at the headless corpse covered with linen next to Wu Qigong. His expression changed. "Brother Angkor, what's going on?" Wu Qigong squeezed out a few tears with great difficulty and said, "Hey, my nephew is dead, how can I explain this to his father?" "Nephew, you died so miserably." Wang Hu stepped forward to comfort him. "Core Angkor, the world has changed. There are zombies outside. It's good to be dead, but it will be miserable to live." Although he said this, Wang Hu cursed in his heart. If you really cared about your nephew so much, you wouldn't deliberately deny him food and let Li Yuan go out to find something to eat alone. Li Yuan had begged Wu Qigong many times, but Wu Qigong always smiled. Secretly, he allowed himself to target Li Yuan secretly. Life and death drove Li Yuan crazy. Wang Hu knew that Li Yuan's father and Wu Qigong were business rivals. Wu Qigong nodded when he heard this, and his face changed in an instant. The speed of changing faces can be called emperor level. Wu Qigong said with a serious face. "Hey, Wang Hu, you were right. It would be more comfortable to die early in this world. But my eldest nephew's revenge must be avenged. It doesn't look like he was bitten by a zombie. The food here is almost gone. Tomorrow you take a few people outside to find some food, see if there are any other survivors, and take them too. After all, there is strength in numbers, so it's easier to survive." This last sentence is the key point. Because I dare not face zombies and those mutated beasts. So I deliberately looked for other survivors. Then forced them to join and snatch all the food and materials from their hands. The two of them did a lot of dirty things. Brother Ang, you were right. Wang Hu nodded. Wu Qigong nodded slightly, lying on the chair with his eyes closed and said, "Okay, isn't there a new female college student outside? Let her come in. By the way, take away the body of my good nephew. Aren't those people outside been hungry for a long time? Open the meat for everyone and let them eat some meat." Wang Hu's expression changed when he heard this, and he looked at Wu Qigong in disbelief. This day, Chen Mo and Qiongqi were as usual. Zombies are being hunted near Area C of the old city. After the master's ability reaches rank 2, the crystal cores of the zombies in front of him will not improve him much. There is very little enhancement to the Juggernaut ability. Most of the crystal nuclei were absorbed by his own unawakened second power. With your powers, you are such a Teoti that you can't get enough. When will I be able to awaken? Chen Mo looked at his left hand and said, "Strange, I remember there should be a lot of zombies here. Why are they all gone suddenly?" The zombies in this area were specially reserved by himself to produce crystal nuclei. Chen Mo frowned and didn't think much about it. "It seems that I want to go to the city center to see." To be honest, he didn't really want to go to where the god of Qiongqi was. Based on his current strength, if you encounter a godlike existence, you will almost certainly die. Too slow. Chen Mo's eyes flashed as he absorbed the 5 crystal nuclei he had just collected. In 2 months, the Nian beast will appear. He must find Yuer when the Nian beast appears. At this moment, Qiongqi beside him suddenly growled with great vigilance. Today's Qiongqi is quite a bit bigger. Its strength also falls within the range of rank 1 superpowers. However, as alien species, rank 1 aliens are enough to compete with rank 2 mutants. Chen Mo looked over, patted its back and said, "What's wrong?" There is something. Although the second ability has not been awakened yet, Qiongqi will continue to improve. Communicating has also become more convenient. Chen Mo looked in that direction. In the ruins, there was a rustling sound. A shrill scream sounded. From it, a black mouse the size of a house cat sprang out. Make a squeaking sound. Immediately afterwards, densely packed black rats emerged from various gaps. Densely packed, it looks like a black tidal sea from a distance, extremely breathtaking. Each of these mice was fat and strong, their scarlet eyes staring intently at Chen Mo and Qiongqi. Sudden, a huge black shadow rushed towards Chen Mo. Chen Mo's pupils condensed, and the sword in his hand slashed forward in an instant. Bang! There was a numbing shock, as if it was struck on steel. Bang! There was a shock under the feet. Countless smoke filled the air. Among the countless rats, a giant black rat almost the same size as Qiongqi appeared. The black hair stood on end and looked as hard as steel. Its body was covered with dense blood holes, and some places were completely bare, even without hair. The sharp claws were stained with blood, and the remains of a zombie were chewed in his mouth, making click sounds. Roar! Qiongqi looked at the giant black rat with great vigilance and roared. Chen Mo frowned. Looking at the tachi in his hand, dents appeared just after they touched each other. Group of corpse rats. Corpse rats can be said to be the most common disaster in the apocalypse. In the early days of the apocalypse, it is even more difficult to encounter death. This head-to-head system and mice the size of domestic cats were waiting around Chen Mo in an orderly manner. Only rank 2 corpse rats can command so many rats. From the looks of it, the zombies he raised here. They were all eaten by the group of corpse rats led by this guy. Chen Mo looked happy. Rank 2 alien species, this at least means that there is at least one rank 2 crystal core in the head of the corpse rat in front of you. The giant corpse rat in front of me should be the Rat King. Qiongqi, Chen Mo said. After many days of cooperation, Qiongqi immediately understood what Chen Mo meant and rushed towards the giant corpse rat. At the same time, Chen Mo controlled dozens of meters of metal around him, and vehicles, iron plates, and equipment were all crushing towards the corpse rat king. Boom! Directly sandwiched the corpse rat king heavily in the middle. Squeak! The corpse rat king let out a long, piercing and painful cry. Tens of thousands of corpse rats were rushing toward Chen Mo's location. Chen Mo used his dominance ability. Metal needles suddenly appeared all around, shooting towards the swarm of rats in front of them like a rainstorm. Squeak, squeak, the screams of corpse rats sounded out. But these corpse rats were so numerous that they still did not slow down their offensive. Chen Mo took a deep breath. The surrounding metal turned into liquid one after another, forming a metal wall that surrounded him. And some are constantly emerging from the gaps around them. We have to kill the corpse rat king first. Without the leadership of the corpse rat king, these corpse rats will disperse. Chen Mo looked at Qiongqi, who was tearing at the corpse rat king on the other side. Qiongqi kept roaring and growling, tearing off most of the corpse rat king's flesh and blood in one bite. There was another ear-piercing scream, and each of the corpse rats surrounding Chen Mo seemed to have heard the order. They all headed towards Qiongqi. Chen Mo narrowed his eyes slightly and used his dominance power to condense 2 steel balls, shooting towards the eyes of the corpse rat king. This strike is tantamount to a self-aiming sniper rifle bullet, so powerful. Puff, puff, 2 streams of blood spurted out. Squeak, the corpse rat king roared in extreme pain. As if going crazy, he used his claws to tear apart the surrounding equipment and abandoned vehicles, scratching at random until he became angry. He actually ran in the other direction and ran away like crazy. Qiongqi turned back and looked at Chen Mo. Chen Mo immediately jumped onto Qiongqi's back, patted it and said, "Let's chase." At this time, rank 2 mutants are extremely rare. I'm going to order this rank 2 crystal core. And the other side, Li Hu was out wandering around with a few younger brothers at the moment. What a bad luck. These zombies cannot eat any food they have touched. If they can't find any food, Angkor will go berserk again when we go back. The younger brother beside him chuckled. Brother Hu, why don't we go to the supermarket and have a look? Li Hu glared at him and said angrily. Do you really want me to die? Hundreds of zombies are there, they want you to go. I really can't eat that stuff anymore, and I feel so sad. Another boy said with a pale face. During this time, the food they snatched from Lu Jiangguo had already been eaten by them. Everyone has been hungry for several days. What's even more terrifying is that those people outside who have no food actually start to share the food of those who are starving to death. Li Hu smashed a stone angrily. Somehow, his physique is getting stronger every day, and now he can no longer face the siege of 2 or 3 zombies. I get angry when you talk about it. That Wu Qigong eats so much food by himself, and he has to share it with those fools. Brother, the people who work for him don't have enough to eat, and they ask us to come out to search for supplies. Yes, Brother Hu, you are so powerful, why don't we just go it alone? I follow you. Li Hu shook his head and said with twinkling eyes. No, that old guy knows people in the military area. Someone will pick him up in a week and take him to the military area. We'll go together then. If you dare to lie to me, you must kill him. The reason why I am so cowardly is because I want to go to the safest place. At this moment, one of them seemed to have discovered something. He said with a horrified expression. Brother Tiger, what's wrong? Li Hu said impatiently. Look at that. What is that dark patch? And that giant thing? I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.